Hey, so last night, Thursday, Dude and I had our usual monthly Achievement Chasers episode, but we didn't find out until about like an hour into the stream until someone came in on Twitch saying, "Hey, why aren't you live on YouTube?" And I had no idea that I was not live on YouTube and there was absolutely no reason. I couldn't fix it live. I scheduled it and I did everything I normally do, and Restream just decided not to go live on YouTube. So that's why we were not live on YouTube. So I have to upload it after the fact. So anybody who missed it last night, I apologize. But definitely, if you watch it, let me know if you have any questions about anything I talked about. The whole point is of my channel is to talk about video games. So definitely open to hearing your thoughts about the games that I played, because I did most of the talking since Dude didn't have as much to talk about. So anyways, here is last night's Achievement Chasers. Sorry it wasn't live, but it's all Restream's fault. They've been doing some things lately. They've been changing things and making a bunch of dumb, bad decisions over the last week or two. They've done like 3 or 4 things that have just really pissed me off, and this one is definitely by far the worst. So, yeah, here's last night's Achievement Chasers. Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Welcome to another monthly episode of, what are we on? Achievement Chasers. And I have another bone to pick with Restream, because this is my gaming streams. I don't use Restream, I just use OBS. But for the panel streams, I use Restream. And this is 2 panel streams in a row that Restream has gone and done something to piss me off. I thought I had made the right choice when picking Restream over StreamYard, but now I'm starting to think that's not quite the case. Although it is much cheaper, because I've heard that StreamYard jacked up the prices, but Restream has not raised them, so at least there's that. But on Party Chat on Tuesday, it just deleted all of my clips and stuff, so I had to go and re-import them. So I fixed that after stream on Tuesday. But I just went to go live, and usually there's like 10 different countdowns that Restream has built in to start your stream with. They got rid of all of them. There are no countdowns anymore. They're just gone. Nothing. So I have no way to do a countdown. So I'm a little pissed about that. I was just ranting to Dude backstage right before we went live, because there's supposed to be a countdown and it's just not there. So that's why there was no countdown. Apparently, I now need to come up with my own countdown. I mean, I've been wanting to do that, but I don't even have any countdown now because they just got rid of it. So I'm a little pissed at Restream right now for getting rid of all their countdown videos. But with that, it is time for another episode of Achievement Chasers, where my co-host in Achievement Crime here, Dude1286, is joining me to talk about his achievements over the course of March. What's up, dude?
Howdy. I recently had something similar happen to me with Rumbot, but luckily it had a built-in, hey, go grab your old JSON file that had the info that was being used to do all this stuff, all the setting stuff. And the only problem was I had to go find where it was in my folders.
Oh, so basically all the Rumbot like settings got removed and you had to like re-import them.
No, the entire UI changed, so I think they changed how the JSON, the underlying file was, and then but
Okay.
they were like, okay, we're gonna give an import function. So you just click on this button, go find your JSON. Where's my JSON?
Good question. Were you able to find it?
I was eventually able to find it. So after I figured it out, I was able to import it, and it worked just right off the bat, pretty much. So it was
Okay.
just more of like I was not expecting that, and that may be a little late for last night's stream.
All right. Well, welcome back to another Achievement Chasers. I know that we talked a little bit backstream, and you mentioned something earlier this week that you don't have a whole lot to talk about this month compared to me. So, did you want to get into why that is, or do you just not want to bother?
There's 2 things. One, Warframe update, and it actually had a decent amount of content to grind out for. So because of that,
Okay.
haven't had much time to achievement hunt. And of
Play
course,
Warframe. I was talking to Paul in chat. He was in one of my chats earlier this week, and he was mentioning something about a Warframe update. So sounded like that was a good thing.
yep. So and then of course work decided it wants me to drive into work 3 days a week for something I can do just the same at home as I do at a cubicle. And let's just say without traffic, it's 90 minutes one way.
Yeah. So
That's why you see me leaving the night streams when I'm watching a little earlier.
Yeah, understandable. I totally get it. So, all right. Well, let's see here. I think I'll do. Oh, you probably do, since you said you only have like 2 things to talk about, right?
Well, I can talk about Warframe, so that's technically
Okay.
3 things, but 2 of them are gonna be so short because they're the same as last time.
Okay. Then I'll probably do. We could probably do like 2. Like I'll do 2, or actually I'll do 3 because I got 3 that are pretty, or 4. I can do pretty quickly. Um, I don't know. I'll go ahead and get started then, since I definitely have a lot more to talk about, because I got 4 things on Xbox and 4 things on Retro Achievement, or actually 5 things on Retro Achievement to talk about. Or one is almost not achievement related, but something I've been playing, so I'll mention it, but not a whole lot to talk about. And then we'll kind of bounce back and forth from that. So I think what I'll do here is, let me go ahead and start. I think last time I started with Xbox, I went to Retro Achievement. I think I'm going to flip that. I'll start with Retro Achievements and I'll work. I'll go through all Retro Achievement games and then I'll go through Xbox games. So, but I will start at each category kind of farther back at the beginning of the month and towards the beginning. So, for Retro Achievements, no surprise, as I've been playing through the whole franchise lately, but I've been making my way through the Metroid franchise, and because I've been doing it on Metroidvania Monday, and I decided, partly because of the gaming challenge that Carl and Canadian and I are in, you get bonus points if you play like the original version versus a like remaster or a port. And so I was like, you know what? Because Metroid is my second favorite franchise of all time, and I've never played the original Metroid, and I've never played the original Metroid 2. So I went back and played those. And so after I did that, I was on Super Metroid, and I finished off Super Metroid on, let's see here, on March 4th. So it was like right at the beginning of the month. So, and I've only been doing that on stream on Monday. So that's why that one's kind of spread out. And because I started Super Metroid on January 7th, but I didn't finish it until March 4th because I'm doing it only on stream and only on Mondays, and not there's been a Monday here or there that I haven't been able to do because I do Mass Effect Monday once a month. But I finished up playing Super Metroid, and there are still I have 47 out of the 52 achievements. The remaining ones, there's still a couple that I could go back and get. Like there's one for escaping the station at the beginning of the game with 40 seconds left. I could practice that one. I could definitely do that one. Then there's the one at the end of the game for beating it, like the escape sequence for beating it in under 2 minutes, or with 2 minutes remaining on the timer. And then there's another one for beating it with 1:30 left on the timer. And that one's even more difficult. Or is it the other way around?
I'd have to look at it.
It's the other way around, because the 2-minute one is worth 50 points and the minute 31 is worth 25 points. So I've watched someone do that, and they were like pixel perfect, and they just barely made it. I'm like, I could probably do the minute 30. I don't know if I could do the 2-minute one, but I'll go back and I'll work on these later.
I was able to do the 10-minute one, so
You
and I don't remember it being pixel perfect. So
okay? Maybe I will go back and get those ones, and then there's one for beat the game with in under 3 hours. I could probably do that one following a guide. And then the one that's the most difficult one is beat the game with only 3 energy tanks and no reserve tanks. That one would probably be a challenge. So, based on what you're saying, I could probably do all of that one except for that. It's called bare bones. I don't know if I could do that one, but I've essentially moved on because I've done most of the
what's
game
funny is I can actually do the under 3 hours one without even trying.
without even trying. Okay, this is the first time I had played Super Metroid in probably 15 plus years. It's been a very long time since I've
I
played
don't
it.
play it as often as Metroid Prime, but it is I think it is my most played 2D game.
Okay. But yeah, it was great playing through it again because, like I said, it's been forever since I've played it, and to play it for retro achievements. And fortunately, the achievements are way better than Zero Mission and Fusion, because there are so many like beat the game in under 2 hours with 100% achievements in both
You
of
have to
those
remember
games.
those the ones are from the developers
I
themselves.
know.
The only ones that aren't from the developers are from themselves are like beating each boss without getting hit in like the bare bones.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, but yeah, the achievements. So I'm done with it. Moved on. I've got 90%. But yeah, like I did Zero Mission back when I first started Metroidvania Monday last year, and I beat the game with 100%. And I'm only had 49% of the achievements because so many of them are difficult. And so after Super Metroid, I went immediately because the way it just lined up is because I was doing 100%. The only thing I didn't do on stream on Super Metroid was I did go and looked for. I think there was on my second to last Super Metroid stream because I was planning on doing the whole thing on stream, and I was wanted to get that 100% of the items before I did the final boss, and I was planning on doing it on stream on whatever night it was, but I was like, so I had gone around the entire map, found what I thought was everything, and I was still missing one energy tank and two missile tanks, so I had 3 more items to go. And I discovered that in Super Metroid, just because there's a dot on the map doesn't mean that you've collected that item. That just means there's an item there, whether you've collected it or not. So I was like, great. I thought the dot there meant I had already collected the item. So I was like, I have to go recheck the entire map, every single spot to make sure I got the item there. So I was like, you know what? Let's play for a little bit longer and then we'll call it there. So I played for probably like another 30 minutes. I did find the energy tank on stream, but I didn't find the 2 missile tanks. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go find those 2 missile tanks off stream. And then, so I played for like another hour off stream and found all 3 of the items that I was missing were down in Norfair in the bottom right corner of the map. I thought I had everything in there, and that's where all 3 of the missing items were. So it was like basically the last place I checked. But because of that, then when the next week's stream basically was just the final boss fight. So the beginning of that stream was like 20 minutes of Super Metroid. I'm like, I'm not going to make a stream of just 20 minutes and call it. So as soon as I beat Super Metroid, I went straight into Fusion. And I don't know if Fusion is actually like time-wise shorter, but I did all of Fusion 100% on stream in 2 streams. So I did, I finished Super Metroid on that stream and then went right into Fusion. And I think that stream was probably about 4 hours. And then I think the next week I did probably about 4 hours or so as well. And I got 100% in Fusion in about 8 hours on stream. And I have 26 out of 43 achievements. I've got 60%. Just like you had just mentioned, in Fusion, though, there's an achievement for beating each boss without taking damage. I'll have to go back through and do that on a second playthrough. I'm not going to do that on stream. I think I could do that on almost all the bosses. The main boss I think I will have a lot of difficulty with beating without taking any damage is there's one that just like bounces all over the place. There's no way to like predict where he's going to go. So it's like complete RNG. So it's a spider boss. It's Yakuza is the name of the boss. That one I don't know if I'll be able to do. That because that one is actually, all the other achievements for beating the bosses without taking damage are 25 points, but that one is worth 50 because he's so difficult. So I do plan to go back and get all those no damage boss achievements because most of them are not too bad. And then there's an achievement which I almost had just coincidentally, but I didn't quite make it. There's a section in the middle of the game where you have a countdown to go shut down this thing before the station explodes, and you have to do it under 4 minutes. I almost had that one, but I didn't quite get it, so I'm going to do that one on another playthrough. And then there's an achievement for beating it in under 4 hours, 2 hours, completed under 2 hours with 100% items. I don't think I'll get that one. I think the 4 hour one, I think I almost, no. Yeah, the 4 hour one without getting 100% should be pretty simple. 2 hours, I don't know. I'll have to see. But 2 hours and 100% items, I don't think I'll do that one. And then there is an achievement that is very cryptic, and it just says, I wonder how many players will see this message. And you have to do the most convoluted. I watched a video of someone do this. The most convoluted Shine Spark puzzle of the entire franchise which will allow you to get to a certain computer console you're not supposed to be able to get to. And they put a special message into the game for anybody who was able to do it, because you have to do it's like linking seriously 20 or 30 Shine Sparks, and some of them you have like a couple of pixels to stop yourself and save your energy so you can do it again. It's super complicated. So I don't know if I'm going to bother with that one. And then there's another bare bones achievement for beating the game with.
But again, that's another one. That's another one that was put in by the developers.
Oh, the
The Shine
message.
Spark.
Yeah, the Shine Spark one. Yeah, because they put a special message into the console, the computer console.
So it makes sense why there would be an achievement for that.
Exactly. And then the last one on here is for beating it with 15 or less missiles and no energy tanks or power bomb expansions. That was worth 100. I don't think I'll go for that one either. So once I'm done with Fusion, I'll probably have, because like I said, I got 26 out of 43. I'll probably have maybe like 36 to 38 out of the 43. So I'll have a good chunk of them. But yeah, I just did a 100% playthrough on stream, and I think it unlocks a hard mode, right? There was a hard mode. I'm pretty sure
I
there's a
don't
hard
know.
mode on Fusion.
Don't think there's a hard mode in Fusion because I didn't see one in the achievement list.
There's no achievements for it, but I thought that it unlocked a hard mode, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there would be achievements for it if there was.
If there was, okay, then maybe there wasn't.
I can check real quick.
Um,
Just look at game facts.
yeah, so yeah, after I beat Super Metroid, I did get the achievement for 100% items, and then there were a couple of quick achievements I missed. One for doing the crystal flash technique, which is uh, pretty easy to do. You just have to know how to do it. You basically have to be under 50 health, and your reserve tanks have to be full, and you have to go into like morph ball and like do a power bomb, and it like refills your health. So I did that. Then there's an achievement for rescuing animals.
I think there's a hard mode in the Japanese version, but not the North American version.
Okay. But on Super Metroid, I noticed that there was an achievement for rescuing the animals, which is on the final escape. So I went back and did that. I think I just did that like that night after I beat it, because I just had to beat the final boss again and then just make sure I went out of my way to go find those animals. And then I went back to the beginning of the game and I beat Ridley at the beginning, because normally, you just take damage until he leaves, but you can't actually beat him. And so I went and I got that beat achievement as well after the stream. That was Super Metroid, and then immediately went into Fusion, and yeah, so then Fusion, and after Fusion, then I started Dread. So I've been playing Dread on stream. That's what I did just this last week. I think we've done 3 streams of Dread so far, but obviously it's a Switch game, so there are no achievements tied to it. But I'm currently playing through Metroid Dread on Metroidvania Monday, and it'll be a very long time, but I'm looking forward to it eventually getting retro achievements in the future so I can play it again for achievements. Even though I'm sure they'll probably have an achievement for beating it on Dread mode, which will never happen. Which do you know about Dread mode?
I've only played through the game once, and I'll wait until the game gets achievements before I dive deeper into it.
So I beat it. Well, when I got my Switch last May, I beat it. And then when you beat it on normal, it unlocks hard. And I started hard. I've only gotten about 3 hours in, and it's really hard. You take way more damage. And Metroid Dread, you already take a lot of damage, even on normal difficulty compared to the other games in the franchise. So I kind of hit a wall on hard mode. And I'm like, I don't even like. There's no achievements for it, so why am I playing this when I'm not having fun? Like, if there's an achievement for it, I'll push through. But if there's no achievement for it and you just got to play it on hard anyways, like, yeah, at this point, what's the point? So I've not continued that. But I will beat hard mode eventually once there's achievements for it. But Dread mode is one-hit kill. Anything that hits you, you will die in one hit. So I will never, ever beat that mode for sure. But I am having fun playing through Dread again on normal difficulty. So, yeah, that's basically everything I have to say about the Metroid games, because I've basically just been doing all of that on Metroidvania Monday on stream. So everything else on here has been all off stream stuff. So that's probably a good spot here. Then switch over to let you talk about something for a little bit.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about a game that I haven't really been able to spend as much time, but I'm actually getting back into it. But Dynasty Warriors 5.
Okay. Every once in a while, I'll see, because I do go check retro achievements every day, and I usually, it has that little spot in the bottom right for your friends, how many points they've gotten in the current day. So every time I'll see dude get a few points here, and then I'm like, I bet you it's Dynasty Warriors. I click on it. Yep, he's been playing Dynasty Warriors.
That's pretty much what it is. Just continuing to go through some more chaos modes for the second faction. I'm about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the second faction, so I'm getting there. It's just taking a while. especially since I got stuck on the rulers of the second faction campaign and the last 3 levels, because they make it so that all 3 of the main rulers for each faction, they had to play through 8 stages, while everyone else has to do 5.
Okay.
But they go up in difficulty a little bit slower. So
That's right. I think I remember you mentioning that last month.
yeah. So, but for some reason I was getting stuck on his 6th mission, and then I was getting stuck on his 7th, and I got stuck on the 8th for the longest time. Then I finally got it, and then the next guy who according to this guide I'm using for chaos mode on how to build these characters, he was like, "This guy's really bad," and then I end up beating his final mission like 3rd try.
It's like the one
And
that's
with
supposed to be
that
really
one,
difficult ended up
what's
being
funny
somewhat
is
easy.
with that one, I ended up just going straight to the final boss because it's an earlier stage in the timeline, because he's supposed to die on the stage, but of course when you play as him, you don't die as him.
Okay.
But
Taking a little bit of liberties.
yeah, they do that in some of the Dynasty Warriors games, but because of that, it wasn't really designed in a way that you were supposed to like try and fight through the armies to get to the final boss. Because some stages you kind of have to do that, but for some of the stages you can just go straight to the final guy and beat him, and your stage is done.
Okay. Kind of like the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, where if you want to go fight the final boss right away, you can.
Yep. But the biggest problem is that you have all the enemies surrounding you, and you have no allies to distract them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you'll eventually have your bodyguard show up because your bodyguard just follows you wherever you go. And I have a bodyguard that can heal me if I'm low on health, but by the time she tries to heal me, I'm already like 1 hit away, and she can only really heal 1 more hit anyways.
Okay.
So it's kind of a pain because of that, but it's still. But then when she finally gets there, she's an extra body for the other enemies to try and go after.
Bit of a distraction.
Yeah, she's more there
So,
for the distraction at that point,
okay.
and the
So,
healing of getting an extra hit is nice,
yeah.
and she could use that infinitely too. So as long as she's
Okay.
alive.
If she's worried about healing you and she's basically your distraction, can she actually fend off the enemies that are focused on her, or is she basically like a
She can
punching
sometimes
bag?
kill enemies that she's attacking, but the whenever she heals me, she doesn't actually attack.
So is this where if you went and so if you wanted to, it sounds like you can kind of go clear out enemies before fighting the boss to make the boss fight easier.
But the thing
But
is, though, if you don't get rid of all of the gate captains around the map, eventually those enemies can respawn
oh,
and come
okay.
in. But
So then it makes
but if you kill the one close to the commander, it takes them a long time. It takes them a really long time to finally get to you.
okay because getting across the map.
Yeah,
So it
and
sounds like the strategy is go kill that one gate commander, then go fight the boss.
if it's possible, because sometimes that gate commander is really close to other officers that can kill you really easily.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you would rather just skip and just go straight for the boss fight. And also sometimes going for the commander with enemies around them is better, because then you can use your special attack, because your special attack makes you invincible while you're using it. And you can constantly keep that up if you're hitting enemies with it. You barely bring it up whenever you're attacking an officer because of how little damage you do.
Oh, okay. So your special is not like a one hit thing. It's like a continuous thing as long as you can keep hitting enemies.
Yeah, as long as you're it's called Muso in this game, which is
Oh, right, right.
so. But as long as your bar is on, or as long as you have bar, you can keep holding the button, and you can keep using, and you keep doing the continuous attack in the special attack. So like you pretty much, because like let's say you have a guy with a pole arm, he has two. He just goes back and forth between 2 attacks where he's attacking um from top to bottom, pretty much in a cross, in an X form. He's just constantly going back and forth between the two slashes. But then once you let go, or once you run out of bar, he then uses a final attack that usually tries to push everyone away from you.
Okay.
So, and of course, having everyone pushed away from you whenever you can no longer move for a moment is kind of nice.
Yeah. It's a slight buffer.
Yep. Of course, some characters have better specials than others. What's funny is that 2 of the characters actually have standing still specials, but as long as you get the enemies in that range, it's actually they're both pretty good. But the problem is that if the enemy officer decides he wants to block,
Oh,
and then even whenever you're done with the attack, if you don't hit him with any of the enemies flying at him, he'll just run up to you and start hitting you. And with the way that chaos mode is, you're pretty much dead in one combo from an officer.
oh, okay. Yikes.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's definitely not it's probably my least favorite chaos mode, and I've played through Dynasty Warriors 6's chaos mode. Although that one was much easier to go through because you only had to beat every level. You didn't have to beat it with every character.
Oh, I
So
think I
you could
remember
just choose
mentioning
out.
that
You could
as
just choose
well.
one of the cheap characters. And I chose the one that has the bow and arrow.
Oh, so you can do ranged attacks.
Yep.
So yeah. So could you have to beat each level on chaos mode with each character?
No, you just have to beat each other's story modes with each character.
Oh,
But that
okay.
means you have to go through all 5 of their levels on chaos. Because
Okay.
you choose in this game you choose the difficulty before you enter the stage or the story mode. And 3 and 4, you chose the difficulty from the settings menu, and then you went to the either story or free mode.
Okay.
So until you change the difficulty in the settings, you would still be on that difficulty until you switched it. But there were some shenanigans you could do with that whenever because of the way that worked. Let's just say you could start a mission in hard, do the interim save, and then change to the lower difficulties, and it changed the way the AI worked. Because in the higher difficulties, the AI was more aggressive.
Okay.
So whenever you did it that way, they'd have the stats of the hard mode, but they'd have the aggressiveness of the easy mode. So,
Not bad.
but you can't do that in 5 because you can't switch which difficulty it is like that.
Gotcha.
And I
So
didn't really do it that much in 4 when I did that achievement set.
yeah, it's like you got a ton of achievements here already. You got 143 achievements, but that is only 41% of the game.
Yep. And
Uh,
it's because it does have the expansion also attached to it.
yeah, Extreme Legends. I just noticed that your achievements that you have out of the game, out of the total, are a palindrome because there's 341. You have 143.
Oh dang.
So if you inverted the number, flipped it around, that's how many there are total.
Yep.
Yeah, there's still a bunch of great ones here, but yeah, it's like these games
I
take
mean,
a
to be
long
honest, the only ones I have left that aren't in the expansion are literally beating every character's Musa mode on normal and chaos, and some of the ones that are specific to stages with a certain character, and then the ones with for the challenge mode that's in the base game. I
Oh,
think that
so does that mean that you've basically been working on the Extreme Legends portion of the game?
I haven't touched the Extreme Legends portion yet.
Oh, I thought you were saying you basically had everything done in the Extreme Legends.
No.
You've done most of the stuff in the base game then, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
mostly done in the base game.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the thing is, though, a decent amount of what I'll do in Extreme Legends is either completely separate to what I'm working on with the characters right now, because it's like you have the roguelike mode, like in Dynasty Warriors 4. That's in this Extreme Legends. But you also have like new stages for a bunch of for each of the characters, pretty much. Well, they tend to each character tends to share the level with 1 or 2 characters.
Okay.
But it's like an extra stage that they didn't put in the main game.
So
Like the Battle of Rushuko on for Wu. That one has like 5 different characters you can choose from. But like some of the other stages only have like 2.
gotcha. That definitely makes sense.
But each character in the main game is at least represented in one of the battles.
Okay. So, how do you know how many more of these chaos difficulty achievements you got left?
Well, when it comes to Muso modes, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 more in this faction.
Okay. And how many factions are there? 3?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've done. Oh well, you're counting it, so don't want to interrupt your counting.
$29. I got still got 29 more characters to go. Because
Okay.
the third faction, Wu, it actually has the most characters.
So, are you? Do you have? Are any of the factions have you already completed?
I've already finished Shu, which is considered which is usually the first one whenever they have the whenever you go into character select.
Okay. So you're in the middle of your second faction, and then
Yeah. And there's technically 4 factions, but the 4th faction is literally just other. And all of those characters except for one have 4 stages each.
okay,
So they don't have as many. That's the reason why they're in other, because they don't have nearly as many battles.
That makes sense.
They're big enough. Those characters are big enough that they needed to be their own character, but not really big enough to have like a full blown story mode, because they were there for a very short period of time.
They're like, hey, we've got this character, want to put it in the game, but we're not going to make a whole campaign for it.
Yeah, well, they did kind of for each of these characters,
or like a shorter one.
Yeah, like Dongzhuo, he's kind of like the big name, kind of what the catalyst that kind of brought everything to us into this conflict, because well, he wasn't the first one, but he was like the one that fully made it so that all of the smaller warlords were like, okay, this current empire is done. We're gonna try and consolidate our own forces together because of this. Because he kind of broke everyone's trust in the court, pretty much. And also he usurped one of the emperors and put a child on the throne, just so he had full control over the empire at the time.
And we're talking like actual history, right?
Yep, talking about actual history.
Not just stuff that happened in a video game, but actually happened in real life.
And inside the Romance Three Kingdoms novel, which is a romanticized version, let's just say he was a very despicable person. He had villages of women just for himself. And when they were used once, he would throw them away.
Oh, one and done, huh? Yeah, that sounds like a quality person.
There's a reason why there was an entire coalition against him.
Yeah.
And he only got away because he decided to burn down the capital and move it to a place further down the road. Oh. But seeing the entire capital being burned like that kind of demoralized the coalition.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, all right. That about cover it for Dynasty Warriors? Or
yeah, because you'll hear about it next time. Hopefully, I'll be into at least halfway through Wu next time.
The third faction.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's funny is Shu and Wei have the most going for them.
That's what I was going to say.
Wu is kind of like the third. Is kind of like the third one that just kind of happened, and we're just like kind of there.
The factions are Shu, Wei,
and Wu.
Oh, Shu, Wei, and Wu. Okay.
Yes. And just to let you know, Wu's leaders are actually descendants from Sun Tzu.
Oh, okay.
So the original leader was Sun Jian, but he died pretty early on, so his son took over that group in Sun Tzu. But then he died pretty soon after, like a couple of years afterwards, because he decided he liked to pursue his enemies a little too far, and he got a arrow to the throat.
Oh.
He survived, but didn't last long after that because of infection.
Ah, gotcha.
And then his brother ended up taking the reins, and then he was the leader for up until his death. But he died of old age.
Okay. So,
But he was the one that decided to work with Liu Bei to fight at Red Cliffs, pretty much. And that's one of the biggest military blunders in military history.
oh, I know absolutely like nothing about Chinese history.
There's
So.
actually a really good 2-part movie for that the Chinese did for it, and it's pretty much called the Battle of Red Cliffs.
Okay,
but they did a pretty good job of that, because it showed the arrogance of Cao Cao, which was the leader who created the lands that Wei would become. He wasn't really he didn't really want to become an emperor himself, because he felt like if he became emperor, he wouldn't have nearly as much freedom to do what he wanted or what he needed.
okay.
And he literally told the emperor whenever he was in control of the city that the emperor was in, he said, as long as I'm around, you'll be on that throne. And as soon as he died, like a couple months later, his son that took up the leadership. He deposed that emperor and created the dynasty of Cao Wei, which only lasted a couple generations. But the other two factions, they actually they answered in kind and they created their own empires called Shu Han, and I can't remember what I think I know it's not Sun Wu. I think it's like Eastern Wu that they call themselves.
Okay, well, sounds like you're pretty well versed in some of this
I played a lot of Dynasty Warriors, and I only know this part of Chinese history.
Okay, that was going to be my question: were you already interested in Chinese history, and that's what got you into the Dynasty Warriors games, or is it because the Dynasty Warriors
other way
games got you into Chinese history? Okay,
yep.
That was going to be my guess, but
what's funny is the only one that became an emperor that was the original faction leader of their group was Liu Bei, and he was like a very distant relative of the original emperor of the Han Dynasty. That was the one before all of this happened.
Okay.
But he was so distant, he was like a sandal maker whenever everything started. So that should tell you everything. Him and his two sworn brothers were actually pretty much peasants, and they decided to become part of a task force to help fight off some rebellions, and they made a name for themselves with that.
Nice.
But it's his entire purpose throughout his entire part of the war was to restore the Han. But whenever the emperor was deposed and completely removed, pretty much, he was like, okay, that can't happen anymore.
So, like you mentioned earlier, they're taking some liberties with actual history, but most of the historical stuff in the game sounds pretty accurate to what actually happened.
They do try to make some things accurate, but it takes most of their liberties are in how things play out, like how the characters act. Like they have one guy who's like really feminine. He has a claw weapon, kind of like Vega from Street Fighter.
Okay.
But like in normal history, he wasn't like that.
Okay. Like that character did exist, but they're portraying them in a different light.
Yeah, it's just animeizing it technically.
Gotcha.
Because it is Japanese. But for the most part, they do a pretty good job of keeping it up.
Oh, you mean I was like, wait, what's
the developers?
Oh, the developers of Dynasty Warriors are Japanese?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I would have just assumed that they're Chinese.
But the publisher has been making games for this for during this time period since the original Nintendo. Because they've made the Romance of Three Kingdoms strategy games. They're kind of like Civilization.
Let's see here. Is that Omega Force?
That's
the developer. The publisher.
That's the developer. The publisher. Yeah, Koei. And also Nobunaga's Invention is the same thing, but during the Japanese, during that era in Japan.
Okay.
And yes, Nobunaga Oda is the one that's in Assassin's Creed
Shadows. Yeah.
That's the part of the reason why I know so much about that part of history. And I'm like, whenever I heard one of the romance options, I was like, No, that. I know the Japanese aren't going to be happy about that one. As soon as I heard that,
Yeah.
because in Samurai Warriors, she actually is kind of like a Romeo and Juliet style of romance with one of the other characters.
Like
she's known to be loyal, and let's just say in that game they make her not loyal.
Oh, okay. And when you say Romeo and Juliet, like two people from opposite, opposing.
Not
factions.
really. It's just that they're star-crossed lovers that could never.
It would never work.
Yeah. Well, they were married, but then because it was it was one of those political marriages. Was like, hey, we need to have these guys as allies. Well, turns out, her brother, which is Nobunaga Oda, he decides to attack someone else, and that person was a friend of the person I got married to. So he decided to go with honor with the original friendship instead of the marriage. And because of that, he sent her back to Nobunaga, even though she didn't want to.
Oh, okay.
And because of that experience, she ended up getting married to one of Nobunaga's officers. I think before, I can't remember if it was before or after his death. But whenever he decides to stay inside the castle to that's being burned, he did try to get her to leave, but she was like, not this time. And she died with him in the castle. From what I know, from if Samurai Warriors is to be
if that's accurate to actual history, gotcha. Okay.
That's how Samurai Warriors portrays it.
Cool. All right.
But it always did show that she never fully loved the second husband, but she was always fully in love with the first one.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I think she actually is the ancestor to some of their emperors. So she did have children surviving her after everything.
Yeah, I would assume so. Oh,
what's funny is in her first game, she actually uses that ball that game where you have the wooden handle and then the ball on a string.
Oh yeah,
that was her weapon in her original appearance.
On her original appearance in one of the Dynasty Warriors games. Oh, Samurai Warriors. Okay, gotcha.
They later changed it to being
how is that a weapon? You can't hurt anybody with that.
Well, if it's really dense, you could crack some skulls with it.
That's funny.
That's not the craziest weapon they've had in the series.
Oh no?
No. I'd have to look around, but I know they've had some crazy stuff.
Okay.
I know one of the characters in Dynasty Warriors 7 that they introduced had a bladed yo-yo. And it was not like it wasn't like a yo-yo you put on your finger. It was like the yo-yo part was actually bigger than her head.
It's like a giant yo-yo.
So there is a lot of crazy weapons that they put in those games.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of characters, so I would assume they probably put some interesting stuff.
That's part of the reason why I like the Warriors Orochi games, because it puts them all together.
Okay. Let's see here. Dynasty Warriors 7. Wow, even 7 came out in 2011.
Yeah.
That was a PS3 game. It was on 360 as well. Oh, okay.
Yep. Just that the expansions were never released on Xbox outside of one.
What's the was that the last numbered one?
Or was there an 8? 9 was.
Oh, so they had to go up to 9. That's right. I knew that.
9 is the worst one, though.
That's the one that everybody hates. Yeah. That's why I forgot about it until I just asked that. But when you said 9, I was like, oh, that's right. That's one everybody hates. I have heard that in a number of places.
Actually, if you give me a moment, let me see if I can actually share my screen, just so you can see what the character I'm talking about is.
Okay.
Share.
So, got it.
This is the character. You see how big that yo-yo is?
Oh, yeah. If you hadn't told me about it, I'd be like, "What the heck is that giant yo-yo?"
And actually, she's one of the few characters that is not in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel.
Okay. So
The last thing I'll say about Dynasty Warriors is that
it.
that character we just showed off, she's one of the few characters that are actually not in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel. She's actually in another novel that's more based on another character from that has like a long time of not doing anything.
Okay.
So that other novel is like, this is what he did during that time period. He went off and did an adventure.
Okay.
And he found a wife.
Good for him.
And that's who she is. I think that was one of the first times that they actually brought in a character from outside the novel. So
okay,
maybe one or two characters they've done that same, but most of them are at least referenced in the novel. Even the women that you can play as are usually referenced.
Okay, gotcha.
But I'd say only like 3 of them had anything combat related. Although one of them was more just she was trained in the martial arts, not she actually went on the battlefield. One of them that just defended a castle, and the other one was the barbarian wife that in the novel she was part of the army.
Okay.
Although the barbarians to the Chinese were the Vietnamese.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of those Asian countries don't get along so well.
Yeah, if you're not of the Chinese blood, you're considered lesser.
That makes sense. All right. Well then, jumping back to me, so I'll continue on retro achievements. Got 2 more things to talk about. I discovered. I don't remember how I discovered it. Let me check if it's on it's talking R. I'm thinking Restream because I'm all pissed off. Retro achievements. Let's see here. Did it have it listed on the? No, not there. Was it on here? Retro arc. There it is. Oh, no, it's not here either, even though it does list Android. I don't know where I discovered it, but somehow within the last 2 weeks, I discovered that RetroArch is on the iOS App Store. I was like, what? No way. So I went in the App Store, and sure enough, there it was. I was blown away that it was on the App Store. So I downloaded
I mean, since I'm on Android, I don't really think about that because I could just put whatever I want on there.
Right. So, not the first time I've done this because I've had my my phone and my iPad jailbroken for a lot of the time until my more recent models. So I've had emulators on them before. This is the first time I've gotten one straight off the iOS app, the official app store. So I downloaded it, figured out how to get my my ROMs onto it, and so I've been playing a little bit on my iPad as my retro achievement gaming platform, and it works great. And if
you have a Bluetooth controller, you can always use that too.
Yep. I've been using my Xbox One controller. We got it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So. The modern ones do use Bluetooth, don't they?
Yeah, the original Xbox One controllers do not, but the Series SX controllers do have Bluetooth. So
whenever I think Bluetooth, I always think PlayStation.
Yeah, it has on-screen controls, but I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to play with the on-screen controls.
I think the only game I've ever done that is Pokemon Ruby.
For something a little slower pace like that, that definitely makes sense. But yeah, I've been playing with my Xbox controller, and it's been great. So, because last week I took off of streaming because I had some stuff going on real life. I didn't have a whole lot of time to like sit on my couch and game. So it was great. I was able to get some gaming in and work on some retro achievements on my iPad when I didn't have access to my Xbox and stuff. So the first thing I booted up and played on my iPad here on RetroArch was Mega Man Xtreme.
It's kind of funny you went with a portable game.
Yeah.
Did you do that on purpose?
Not necessarily. I was kind of just looking through like my list of games, like, what do I want to play? And I was like, this is a great starting point because it's not a terribly long game. So the two games that I have to talk about here are both Game Boy Color games. So Mega Man Xtreme is, like I just said, it was a Game Boy Color game, and it's basically a mashup of Mega Man X and Mega Man X2 because it has 4 bosses from Mega Man X and has 4 bosses from Mega Man X2. The weird thing is that how it plays is when you first start up, you're starting normal mode, and you only fight 4 bosses, and then you go to Sigma. But like all the levels are the exact same as they are in the original Mega Man X or X2 on Super Nintendo, but they're pared down so they can fit it on a Game Boy Color game. And the music is still the same, but it's not, not like 16-bit music. It's like 8-bit music, but you can still clearly recognize the music, and the music is great. But the weird thing is you only fight 4 bosses, then you go to Sigma, and the first 4 bosses is 3 bosses from Mega Man X and then 1 from Mega Man X2. You beat Sigma, and then it unlocks hard mode. It's not really hard mode. It's the difficult doesn't change, but then you go through and you fight another 4 bosses and then go through Sigma, and the Sigma stages are the exact same as they are in Mega Man X1. The only difference is that you do have a cap for the boss rushes. You do have capsules because in the original Mega Man X, they hadn't implemented all the capsules. You played through, you had to fight all the bosses, but you played through, like in Sigma Stage 1, you fought like 3 of the bosses over again. Sigma Stage 2, you fought like 3 of them. And then on Sigma Stage 3, you fought the final 2. And you had to play them in the order that they were laid out in the level. You couldn't like pick which order you wanted to do. However, on Mega Man Xtreme, even on the first playthrough, you have 4 rather than, because you don't have access to all 8 of them. So you only have 4. And you have to fight. They're in capsules, so you can pick which order you want to do them if you know which one's in each capsule. So the Sigma levels are the exact same on normal and on hard. And hard's not any more difficult because you don't like take any more damage. But on hard, you play through 4 bosses, and then you go to Sigma. But those 4 bosses are 3 of them are from Mega Man X2, and 1 of them is from Mega Man X. So why they didn't just do 4 Mega Man X and then 4 Mega Man X2, and they swapped 1 from each? I don't know. But then you beat Sigma on the hard mode, and then you unlock extreme mode. It's not really any more difficult. It's just you have access to all 8 levels at once, which is basically how all the Mega Man games are from the beginning. So it was kind of dumb that I had to play through it twice just to get access to all the levels at once. But
I see you have 2 achievements left, and they're both in extreme mode.
Yeah. So basically the only difference between this one and the original Mega Man X when it comes to like the Sigma levels is that on Mega Man X, when you first fight Sigma at the end of the game, you first have to fight his dog, then you fight him. That dog is not in the game. When you first fight Sigma, you just fight him as he was in Mega Man X after the dog.
I remember hating that dog.
Yeah. I could not.
Whenever I was doing the zero mode achievement in the original game.
When I was doing Mega Man X on Super Nintendo, I literally could not beat the dog without the Hadouken. Every time I missed it with the Hadouken and I got hit, I was like, I just had to go and die and then try it again. I could not beat that freaking dog. Or maybe it was the other way around. I could beat the dog, but I couldn't beat Sigma. Anyways, I don't know if Sigma is easier in Extreme than he was on Mega Man X, because when playing through it again, it was, even though I haven't played this since I was a kid, I literally haven't played this in 25 years probably. It was like riding a bike. It came back to me immediately, and I beat Sigma. I think if I didn't beat him on my first try, I beat him on my second try, and on my second try, I barely took any damage. But when I played Mega Man X for Retro Achievements, which is the first Retro Achievement game I ever played back when I first got into it in December of 23, I literally had so much freaking trouble beating Sigma. So I don't know if it's just because they play different or just because I was so much better at it in Extreme on, when I was a kid, and I didn't play Mega Man X as much because I didn't actually own it until much later. I don't know, but
come on, you want that completion.
So yeah, let me go back here to my game. So Man Xtreme has 44 achievements. I have 42 of them. So the only 2 achievements I have left is just like basically all the other Mega Man X games. There's an achievement for beating each boss without taking damage, and I have all but one of them. And that's the exact same one, and that's one of the bosses that's originally from Mega Man X2, which is Wheel Gator. That's the one boss on Mega Man X2. I also don't have the achievement for beating without taking damage. And I've tried beating him on Mega Man X2 probably 3 or 4 dozen times. There's just so much RNG in it. It's a pain in the butt. So I also don't have that one in Mega Man Xtreme either. And I don't know if I will get it. I swear the other achievement I have on here is easier than beating Wheel Gator without taking damage. And that is for beat the game without any armor upgrades except for the leg upgrade, because you have to get it. You can't proceed through the level without it. Without getting any zero weapons, which because on originally in X2, there's 4 upgrades: your helmet, your arms, your chest, and your legs. But there's 8 levels. So in X and X2, there's 4 capsules, but some of the there's 8 levels. So those other 4 levels just don't have a capsule in them. But in this one, every level has a capsule, and they're in the same places they are in the original Super Nintendo games, but since there's still only 4 armor parts, they added these 0 capsules where it gives you, when you switch to it, you have a bar of energy, and each one of these 4 attacks that you get from these other 4 capsules gives you, you'll summon 0 to do an attack, and certain attacks take up more or less of the energy bar depending on how strong they are. So that's what the 0 weapons are. You summon him and like time freezes and he does his attack, and then you resume as Mega Man X. Not like you control him like you do in X3. But you have to beat it without any armor upgrades except for the foot upgrade. No, don't get any of the 0 capsules. Don't get any of the heart containers, and don't get any of the sub tanks. I think I could do that. I don't think that would be all that difficult because I am,
That's pretty much the 0 mode in Mega Man X.
Yeah, because and I love Mega Man, specifically Mega Man X. Like I always say, Mega Man X2 and X1, 2, and 3 are my favorite Mega Man games. So I could probably do that one. That one would probably be less frustrating than beating Wheel Gator without taking damage. So those are the only 2 I have left on Mega Man Xtreme.
By the way, I was looking through the comments on this page, and
oh yeah,
this one says Wheel Gator damages maybe you want to chug spaghetti sauce through a straw.
I remember reading that comment. Yeah, so it's not just me. Wheel Gator is, and the point value is just the same as all the other bosses. 10 points for beating them each without taking damage.
And here's another one
worth way more.
Who would have thought that adding no damage to a game where the inputs fail, even in the main menu, would create a frustrating experience?
I remember reading that one as well, because that is one thing about this game, that sometimes you'll hit the buttons and they just won't register.
That sucks.
It's not too bad, but it happens, and it is very frustrating, especially when you're trying to take no damage. You hit jump and he doesn't jump, and so you get hit by
I
something.
did see that apparently the damageless bosses you can do during the boss rush.
Yes, I did all of them during the boss rush. That's the other thing, is that all these achievements for beating the boss without taking damage, you can only get those achievements on extreme mode. But like I said, it's not any more difficult than it normally is. It's just extreme mode. You have access to all 8 of them. But just like all the other Mega Man X games, it's way easier to do this in the boss rush because you don't
have access to their weapon.
Yes, you also have all of their weaknesses already if you want to use it. Some bosses, it's better to use the X Buster than it is to use their weakness. But if there's no save states on hardcore mode. So if you die, or run out of lives, you don't have to do the entire level again, because the boss rush level that's all there is. So when you run out of lives, you just start at the boss rush again. You can go right to the boss you need to do. So,
so at the very least, you have that possibility for this game. So I think you could actually get this one mastered.
Well, because that's what I did on Mega Man X2 when I was going for this one without damage, is the boss rush. I did it in the boss rush as well, and it's a royal pain in the butt. And I think it might be even harder on this one than it is on X2, because of the Game Boy Color screen. On the Super Nintendo one, your body doesn't take up as much of the screen as it does on Game Boy Color, so there's actually less room to maneuver, because it's not like a 1-to-1 scale to the Super Nintendo game. You got a bigger screen, So your character takes up more, but on the Game Boy Color one, obviously it's a smaller screen, but your character isn't proportionally the same shrinking down from the Super Nintendo version. It's still bigger than you were if you were to, pare it down at a 1-to-1 ratio. So one thing that I was very happy about is there is an achievement for beating the final Sigma form on your normal difficulty. There's an achievement for beating the final Sigma form on the hard difficulty. There's no achievement for beating Sigma on final form on extreme difficulty. However, there is an achievement for beating final Sigma on extreme without taking damage. I have no idea why, but I got that achievement even though I got hit like 3 or 4 times. I took damage plenty of times, and it still gave me the achievement when I beat final version of Sigma on extreme difficulty.
It looks like someone commented.
I'm not going to complain about that.
I think someone commented today.
Oh,
the person after you.
Oh, yeah,
got it
because I got it on March 28th. Somebody, just today, it's because they don't use the time zone of that you're in. They use like the centralized time, so it says April 4th. That's tomorrow.
I really wish they would make that change.
Yeah, I wish they had the time zone, because on RetroArch it shows me the timestamp of my time zone, but on the Retro,
I mean, at least it's the universal time, so it can be easily converted, but it's just more of a. I kind of wish I could see my time zone.
Exactly. On I can see it on my emulator, but on Retro Achievements website, it has it in the universal time zone. So
yeah, because I don't think you were up at 2 a.m.
I was up at 2 a.m, but that's not when I played it. I played that in the afternoon, or maybe in the early evening. But yeah, someone just got it. I don't know what time zone they're in, but it says April 4th, and they got it. It says, I got it, but I took damage. I took damage as well, but the achievement unlocked, so I'm not going to complain. I think that should have been 2 separate achievements. One for beating it on extreme, and then a separate achievement for beating it on extreme without taking damage.
Yeah, so that happens every now and then.
So, but yeah, I've moved on from that because I was like I said, the beating it without getting all the things will probably be easier than beating Wheel Gator without taking damage.
So whenever you just have Wheel Gator left, you're gonna be like, I kind of want that completion.
Yes, if I beat the game, so that achievement is called Challenge from MIDI, because MIDI is one of the characters in the game. And after you beat each, so when you beat normal difficulty, MIDI pops up and says, and now I challenge you to beat hard mode. And then when you beat hard mode, he pops up and says, now I challenge you to beat extreme mode. So MIDI is one of the characters. So that's why it's called Challenge from MIDI. If I do go back and do that, which I probably will, I will absolutely go and work, bang my head against the wall till I beat Wheel Gator without taking damage. Another thing that was weird is one of another bosses that was really annoying to beat without taking damage was Magna Centipede. And I was freaking pissed off because normally when you start a fight and you're going for an achievement, if you can know whether you still qualify for it because it's got the little achievement thumbnail essentially in the bottom right corner. Yep. But if you fail to meet the criteria, it disappears. So I finally beat him, and I didn't see the thing down in the bottom right corner, and no achievement popped up. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I fought him a couple more times, then I beat him again without taking damage. Still nothing. I'm like, what the crap? So the next time I went into the fight, I noticed that the achievement little thumbnail wasn't down there from the beginning of the fight, before his health bar even filled up. We hadn't even fought yet, and the achievement the little icon wasn't there. All the other bosses, the achievement icon shows up as soon as you enter their arena, but his did not. So I went and looked on Retro Achievement website, and I had unlocked the achievement. It just didn't notify me. I was like, are you kidding me? So something about that specific boss fight, the little icon doesn't show up, but it still unlocks, and it just doesn't have a notification. Whereas all the other bosses, I got a notification.
Maybe that was just an oversight.
Could be. Yeah, so I don't know where this came from, but one of my buddies in my Xbox community, he calls this a Garbovian completion, where it's like, I've completed everything I'm going to for now. I'll come back to it later. So I don't know what that means or where it came from, but I got a Garbovian completion of this game. I've moved on. So I immediately went to another Game Boy Color game that I had as a kid and really liked, and that was Bionic Commando Elite Forces. So let me go back here. There was a a Bionic Commando. I think the first Bionic Commando game was an NES game, but I had no idea what that was. I don't even know why I ended up getting this game as a kid, but I really liked it. It was cool. It's like a guy's got, he's got like a Spider-Man grapple arm, and he's a commando. So I played through and beat this game in its entirety as a kid, and it's been great playing through it again. I started it on March 29th, so I started it before this year, but I've done most of my playing of it this month, but I'll just go ahead and talk about it right now. I've got 40 out of 49 achievements. I will absolutely complete master this one, so this will be my 4th retro achievement mastery because the achievements here are pretty simple. The only one that I'm having trouble with is there's a specific level where there's an extra life, and there's an achievement for finding it. It's only worth 1 point. I can't freaking find it. I played the level like 5 times, and this game has barely any view. There's almost no videos of it on YouTube, except for people just randomly playing through it who aren't like trying to collect everything. So I found like when I look for this, there's only like a handful of videos, and none of them are like 100% walkthrough. So I can't find a video of anyone getting it. So I don't know where this stupid extra life is. And I played through it like 5 times. It's probably going to be the hardest achievement. Is just finding this stupid one up. But you play. When you first start out the game, you select the male commando or female commando. I started off with the male commando. There are specific levels where you only I want to say, so there's 18 levels essentially, but there's 16 real levels. Those other 2 levels are basically like hidden levels that are, one is just an obstacle course. It's like a platforming challenge. And the other one is just like an extra, but a little bit shorter of a level. Some of these levels you can beat in a couple minutes. They're not very long. Other ones can be a little bit more difficult and take, like, I remember I spent one of these levels, I probably spent 20 minutes just trying to beat the final boss because it has a life system. I was on my last life, and I only had a few hits left, and I was basically stuck because you can't like leave the level. When you run out of lives, you either have to start a new game or load your last save where you have the same amount of health and lives as you had at your last save point. So I was like, I just got to power through it because I can't go and get extra lives. I can't go. And that's another thing is there's no health that drops in the level except for a couple of specific spots. So I was like, I just got to power through. And I spent a bunch of time just trying to beat this boss section without dying. It took me like 20 minutes just to beat the boss. But other than that, there was like 4 or 5 levels where they're actually different depending on whether you're playing as the male commando or the female commando. But the majority of the levels are the exact same. The only difference is that one of the weapons you get as the male commando is different than one of the weapons you get as the female commando, but everything else is essentially the same. So I've already got 100% of the achievements playing through the male commando. So I'm currently working through playing through the female commando, and I'll probably have this one mastered probably in the next couple days. For a Game Boy Color game, this game's music is freaking awesome. I've been humming it in my head like the last couple days because it's really freaking good. It's definitely an underrated gem. Most people probably don't even know about this game. And I didn't even play it. Like I probably glanced at the achievements before I played it, but I didn't really care because it's one of my games that I had as a child and I really enjoyed it. And fortunately, it has a pretty simple, pretty easy retro achievement set. There's nothing on here that's very difficult. There's no difficulty settings. There's just normal, and the normal is not very difficult. But it's a platformer. I don't know why, but on retro achievements, it says 2D platformer, Metroidvania. It's not a Metroidvania at all. I have no idea why. The only thing I can think on the reason why it says Metroidvania is because there are a couple levels that you can go back to with an item you get later in the game, and it unlocks a new route to another level. But there's only 2 of those. Those are those special levels I mentioned a minute ago, where one's just a platforming challenge and one is just like a short level. There's no Metroidvania elements in the game at all, so I don't know really why it says that. It's just a platformer. One thing that is kind of weird that you might have to get used to if you aren't familiar with this game is that there's no jump. And it's a platforming game with no jump mechanic. It's like, how does that work? It's because you have a grapple arm and you use it to swing everywhere. So you can't jump, but you can grapple around and swing and stuff. And another cool thing that this surprised me is when I played this game as a kid was there's only like 2 or 3 lines in the game, but it has some spoken audio dialogue.
That's weird.
For a Game Boy Color game. Like when you first boot it up and you get to the start menu, you hear Bionic Commando. Oh, it's got like a little bit of an echo. I mean, it's 8-bit sound, so it's not good, but you can clearly hear what it says. There's like 2 or 3 spoken audio lines in it on a Game Boy Color game, and I was just like blown away by that as a kid. But yeah, it's fun. I like it. It's been great. There are a couple of nitpicks I have about it. Basically, how, like I was just kind of ranting a few minutes ago, that if you can kind of screw yourself over if you get stuck, if you save and you have like you're low on health. There's no healing item, like you can't restore your health, although there is an item you can collect. You get it like on the second level called, so at the beginning of each level you select, first of all, there's 4 things you select. And I don't remember what the order is, but you select what gun you want to use, because you get a number of different guns and they each function differently. You select your equipment, you select your decoder, and what's the 4th thing you select? There's 4 things. Shoot. Is it just 3 things? It might just be 3 things. I thought there was 4, but it might be 3. But one of the items you get is one of those equipment. Like one of them is the one that I always use is the fast charge. So because the charge time on your gun, because you can charge all your guns, is really long. It's like 5 or 6 seconds. So fast charge is basically instant charge. So that's usually the one that I use until you get the rapid fire equipment. But that's like the second to last level. It's like way late in the game. So I use the fast charge because you get it pretty early in the game. But one of the other items you get is the energy pills, which allows you to restore your health at any time once per level. But because I use the rapid charge, I usually don't have the energy pills. One of the items that you have is the key card. And the only thing, it's one of the things you get for beating one of the levels, but the only use for the key card is like level 5. You have to have the key card equipped in order to get through a gate at the beginning of the level. And that's the only purpose of this key card in the entire game. So for that level, you can't choose any of those other pieces of equipment. So there's like the energy pills, the rapid fire, the quick charge. There's like 5 items you have to pick from on your equipment, but I never use the energy pills. But if you don't have the energy pills, the only way to restore your health is there's a couple of sections in certain levels, not even every level has it, where either a health item will just float down in this one specific spot, and it'll refill your health, or there's 3 levels that have this little sniper section where you go into essentially like first person and you have like 30 seconds. You have to snipe these 3 guys. And first you got to find them. And there's an achievement for each of those 3 sniper sections, because there's 3 guys. You have, and if you can get them, all 3 of them in 3 shots, you get an achievement for, it's called crack shot level 5, crack shot level 9, like crack shot level 9, like 17 or whatever the 3 levels are that they show up in. And then if you defeat all 3 of those enemies, they can't even shoot back at you. It's just, hitting them without missing is the challenge, because it's not like hold still. It kind of has like a bit of a gun bob, like you would expect, like in real life, because you're not going to be able to hold a gun perfectly steady. So there's a little bit of a bob, so you got to get the shot right. If you get all 3 of those targets in the 30-second time limit, it'll drop a health item for you. But other than that, there's no way to restore your health. So like I mentioned, one of the levels midway through the game, I had no lives left, and I was low on health, and I had no way to restore my health. So I just had to keep doing this boss fight over and over again until I got it perfect without getting hit. I think I had like 2 hits left. So I could only take 1 hit, because on the second hit I would die. So there should have been some sort of better health mechanic in the game. That's really my only gripe. But otherwise, fun platforming game. You swing around kind of like Spider-Man, but with a gun. And it's got awesome music for a Game Boy Color game. So I'm almost done with that. I'll probably finish that up in the next couple days, and that will be my 4th retro achievement mastery. So I probably will talk about it next month, even though I'm currently playing in April since I started it at the end of March. But yeah, I've got 40 out of 49. So I'm almost there, and none of these achievements are difficult. The rest of the achievements I have are for just beating each of the levels as the female commando, because I just haven't gone through the whole game as the female commando yet. So, that was the other thing, is that, as I said at the beginning of each level, you choose your gun, your equipment, and your decoder. And the decoder, you start out with like red, and then you get green, then you get yellow, and then blue. All that is that midway through each level, there's a save room. And if you're not using the right decoder, when you try to use there's a computer console, you can save your gun, you can save your progress regardless. But some of the levels, in order to progress, like have a certain door open for you, you have to go to the communications. You have to connect with, like your commanding officer or whatever, and they tell you what to do. And if you don't have the right decoder equipped, then it'll just be a bunch of garbled random series of letters and characters. So you have to go down to your equipment and then switch to the right decoder, and then you'll be able to talk to your commander. So the decoders don't really serve any purpose. I don't really know why they're in there, but the decoders are basically pointless for the most part. But if you were curious about what the decoders were, since I hadn't touched on it, that's what they are. And Rocker Dude saying, no jump, gross. And so that's the thing, is because I loved this game as a kid, when they announced Bionic Commando Rearmed on 360, the arcade game, I jumped on that day one, and that was a fantastic game. A very difficult game, but great one. That's one that I think I've got 2 achievements left in that game. On the Xbox Live Arcade game, because one of them is for beating the game on the hardest difficulty, and that game is nearly impossible on the hardest difficulty. But that's a great game. I didn't actually ever buy Bionic Commando Rearmed 2 until last summer when the 360 store was shutting down, even though it's backwards compatible, so it's not like it's going anywhere. But it was on a big sale, so I bought it. And the reason why is because I played the demo as soon as Bionic Commando Rearmed 2 came out, and they added a jump mechanic, and it totally felt wrong. And because they added a jump, I didn't like it, and that's why I never bought it, and I still haven't played it. Although I will be playing it soon once I start my dive. But it just felt so different being able to jump, because all the Bionic Commando games so far, not that there's a lot of them, well, with the exception of the 360 full release where it's a full 3D world, I did also play that one. I do have 100% of the achievements in that game. And that's the one where your wife is your arm, and everyone gave it a lot of crap because it's got the stupidest plot twist ever. That one obviously has a jump, but all the 2D ones don't have a jump. You can only like attach to ceilings and stuff and then swing, and then you can use your momentum to clear gaps and stuff, but there's no actual jump button. Bionic Commando Rearmed 2 added a jump, and it just felt wrong, so that's why I've never played it, but I will be playing it because I bought it. But yeah, the music in this Game Boy Color game is really great. So yeah, that is it for me for retro achievements. So I've got some things to talk about on Xbox, but I'll go ahead and jump back to you for whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I can talk about the game I've been playing on stream, and I'm really pissed about it.
We were both playing it on stream last night.
Yep, and that is Ninja Gaiden Sigma. Again, I had the PS3
Black.
Remember, I have the PS3 version because Xbox One version does not have a physical copy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I didn't even know that until you mentioned it last month. But yeah, you're playing the Xbox One version, but the only physical one you have to show is the PS3 version. But they're the same game.
And all of my complaints are just being brought tenfold whenever I'm going into higher difficulties.
Yeah, because you're on very hard now, right?
Yep. And I didn't even get past one level last night.
Yeah.
And also what's disheartening about all this is that I have to go through the next difficulty and actually have to make sure I get Master Ninja on each level as I go through.
On the hardest difficulty, and get Master Ninja ranking, which is very insanely difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm playing Ninja Gaiden Black on Wednesday nights right now on hard, but you're playing Sigma on very hard.
Mm-hmm. I've already done hard, and that one wasn't too terrible. But I haven't even gotten to the Alma fight. But then again, when I played it on very hard, I beat her at first try.
You beat Alma very hard on first try?
Not on hard.
Oh, on hard on first try. Okay.
Outside of them spawning enemies into that fight, I actually wasn't minding it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I remember
my biggest problem with Awakened Alma and Alma is that they're not consistent with them being able to get hit.
Yeah, I knew that's exactly what you were just about to say. It's like sometimes they take damage and sometimes they don't. It's like,
yeah,
why?
It's because of this. This is one of the reasons why this is one of my least favorite games I've ever played. It's because it's inconsistent. The enemies are unfair, and it's just crazy because of that. And it's like, and also you're fighting the camera at all times.
Yeah, someone was, when I was playing last night, someone in my chat was like, God, the camera's going nuts. I'm like, yeah, I've just gotten used to it. And It was,
I would prefer if it mimicked Devil May Cry and just kept it in one spot.
That's right. That you did say that in my chat after you came over when you were done with your
When in
stream.
the original Devil May Cry, they didn't need
That
I think they still use that for Devil May Cry 2, but in Devil May Cry 3 was whenever they started making it a bit more dynamic.
okay? Because yeah, I mentioned you had mentioned that in my chat last night, and then I said something about it, but I don't know if you responded. But I was like, I thought in Devil May Cry the camera angles were fixed, kind of like
In
in
the
the
first 2
original
games,
Resident
yes.
Evils. So it's not like over the shoulder or anything. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Okay.
And they didn't really start doing an over the shoulder style until Devil May Cry 4.
Oh, 4. Okay.
3 kind of has it in certain areas, but in other it goes back and forth between the old style and the more modern style. Depends on the room.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ninja Gaiden because there are certain areas where the camera goes to a certain spot and you can't really move it, but it's
Ninja Gaiden should do it way more often.
very few and far between. It's usually trying not necessarily over the shoulder, but sometimes you got to keep track of like enemies that are off screen.
The biggest problem with Ninja Gaiden is that they can hit you while they're off screen.
Yeah. So I'm used to, constantly hitting the left trigger so that or for me it's left trigger to get the camera centered behind me.
Luckily in Devil May Cry it actually is more fair for you, so they try not to even in the very first game it felt like that they never attacked you while they were off screen, which was really nice. But the biggest problem encounters in the first Devil May Cry are the ones where they're in a fixed camera where you can see the entire action, so you have to pay attention to every enemy on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So, but like in later games, you can actually go into a corner and just wail on an enemy in the air and not have to worry about the other enemies being able to hit you.
They won't attack you while they're off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was after you had left my stream last night, but it's like I
Probably.
get it from a gameplay standpoint, but it's like, it makes no sense why an enemy wouldn't be able to hit you at any time.
It's just more it is a gameplay mechanic and it's why I like it. And also the fact that whenever you jump in Devil May Cry, it allows you to have those invincibility frames.
Yeah, that's another thing I think has been difficult for you is that Ninja Gaiden, the iframes are in the roll, not the jump. And in Devil May Cry, it's kind of the opposite.
No, Devil May Cry still has the iframes in the roll as well.
But it also has it in the jump. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden,
and because of that, you never
are only in your roll.
And it's because of that you're never really rolling in Devil May Cry.
Okay.
It's actually always better to jump.
Okay, yeah, that's not... Well, I can't say it's never the case. But yeah, if you're watching me, whenever I'm playing, even when I'm not in combat, I'm roll, jump, roll, jump, roll, jump, roll, jump. And that's because whenever you hit the ground after a jump, you can roll in any direction. So the
problem I have with that is most of the areas in the game are not designed with you being able to do that because you're going to run into a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no iframes in the jump, so you can definitely get knocked out of the air or a combo or something if you're in the air.
It's kind of funny that the Ninja game doesn't allow you to get iframes on jump, but the game where you're a demon, you can.
So, yeah, I know you came into chat and you said where you were last night, and you basically didn't. You were just stuck on the same level. You were on chapter.
I made slow progress throughout that level, but I'm technically still at the same save station though.
Oh, because you might have to go to the save station, go over here, and then come back to it, and then go over here.
Yeah, or what I did was I did a couple fights that don't respawn and just went back to the save. After I've done that fight like 10 times, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go back and save so I don't have to do it again.
Yeah, that's kind of like I don't think it was not last night's stream of Ninja Gaiden, but the one prior. I ended the stream exactly where I started the stream, at the save point right in front of the monastery, because you go down to the crypt and then you come back up and fight Alma, and that's like 3 levels. And so I ended right where I started, but I had progressed through like three chapters, I should say.
Yep.
So, but yeah, which part were you on?
I'm still in the monastery. I have the book to go down, but I'm trying to do the ambush in the other room so I can get the item from it.
Is that the ambush that I got screwed on last time?
It's the one with the 2 cat demons and the monk.
Okay, yeah,
thing.
in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I did, and then I went and fought Alma and then died, and like, you know what, screw it, I'll do that one after Alma, and then found out you can't do it after Alma, you have to do it before
Yeah, well,
Alma.
in Sigma they changed when the Alma fight is.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, so it's after you come back up from defeating the Bone Dragon.
Yeah, that was the order in Ninja Gaiden Black as well. It just had been so long since I played it, I'd forgotten the order. But yeah, you don't fight Alma until after you come back up as well.
Okay.
But the thing is, in Ninja Gaiden Black, you don't have the Rachel segment, so.
Yep. And Rachel is fine on 2 of the levels. It's the middle level that you play as her, and she has that one boss fight is a pain.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be able to hop in whenever you see me fighting that guy.
Yeah, I've never even played as Rachel before since I haven't played the Sigma versions yet, but I will be.
Because she actually has a very abusable attacks. Because her normal string actually has her go up in the air and grab an enemy and then throw it down. And then
Yes,
if you time it right, you can go into a charge attack immediately when she drops.
Okay, yeah, I remember you seeing you do that one, and that attack is also in Ninja Gaiden 2 with the Eclipse Scythe, which is an awesome weapon they added in Ninja Gaiden 2.
So maybe they just ported back that for her.
Yeah, I don't know whether did Sigma 1 come out after Ninja Gaiden 2, or was Sigma 2?
I'd have to check my collection because I have both.
Was Sigma 1 before or after Ninja Gaiden 2?
2007 is the copyright on this one.
Okay, Ninja Gaiden 2, I'm pretty sure came out in 2009.
Think so?
Or 2008. It's one of those 2 years. Let's see here. Ninja Gaiden 2, oh yeah, of course it gives me 2008. So Sigma came out before Ninja Gaiden 2.
Gotcha.
So then they may have taken that combo from Rachel's hammer and like, hey, let's reuse this attack for the Eclipse Scythe in 2. That would definitely make sense.
I mean, people for some reason complain about From Software using their same animations, but they never ever complain about any other game company that does it.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And with a game that's technical as Ninja Gaiden and the Souls games, it makes sense to keep the same animations for player animations. Because it allows you to be able to use your skill set you use. Yeah, muscle memory and skill set you use from previous games.
Yeah. Because the Dragon Sword is the starting weapon in Ninja Gaiden 2 as well. A lot of the combos.
How much would it hurt you if I ended up liking 3 the most?
Well, you're going to be playing the Razor's Edge version, so at least there's that. But yeah, if you like 3 the most, that is going to be painful to me. But yeah, the Dragon Sword, a lot of the combos are the same in Ninja Gaiden 2 as they are in Ninja Gaiden 1, but there are a few that are different.
Makes sense.
So, so that was the ambush you were working on. So, so you're right before the Alma fight on Very Hard then, it sounds like.
No, I'm right before. I'm actually going to be going down into the...
Oh, you're on your way down.
Yeah.
So, did you already fight the doppelganger then?
Yep, I fought the doppelganger, and that one took me a while.
Okay.
Because he's kind of cheap himself. Because he seems to always be able to block or get out of the way of your attacks. Yeah. And it feels like the timer, you're never going to hit that timer.
Oh, for the karma bonus?
Yeah. I don't know how they do the timers for the karma. Because the last time you were watching me, right before that one boss fight, there's two groups of the spider ninjas, the ones that throw
the incendiary shurikens.
Yeah, the same 3 enemies. The first time you fight them, you get 30 seconds. The second time, you get 12. What? How did you figure these karma times out?
Yeah, the karma times are very, very quick.
Like the 30 seconds I was able to get quite often, but I was never able to get the 12 seconds.
The most annoying thing about it is there's I don't know how many times where I kill the enemy, but because it doesn't count, like the timer doesn't stop until their death animation finishes,
Yep.
where I don't get the karma bonus because their death animation didn't finish until after the timer, even though
Just
I
another-
killed the enemy before
Just
the
another
timer
point.
ended.
Just another point off of this game's because of it. Just so weird. Hey, I took points off of Devil May Cry 5 because of the way its ranking system works.
That was the one where you were constantly saying about how you have to skip fights in order to get the
Or
S
you're
ranks.
encouraged to skip fights.
Yeah.
It's like it's a spectacle fighter. You shouldn't be encouraged to skip fights. I mean, hell, Devil May Cry 4 actually encourages you to go do extra fights because you get more more of the red souls, and because of that you get more points towards your end score.
Okay. Yeah, like one of the levels I did last night, it took forever. It was my final time at the end of the level was an hour 30, and I didn't get any time bonus and I didn't get any essence bonus because I spent a ton of money on that level as well. But I still got Master Ninja because I had so many freaking kills. So, yeah, I think it was it was the level that, yeah, it was the aqueduct. It was chapter 10 that finishes with the zombie dragon fight.
Mm.
I spent that was most of last night's stream was that level.
Yeah,
but
and I
got
actually
the
don't
Master
mind
Ninja.
that fight.
Yeah, I think I said it before you had hopped into the stream.
No, you said it after.
Okay, you were there.
Yeah,
because I was like, I think I remember Dude saying this was like one of the boss fights he actually thought was actually pretty decent.
my only complaint is that I don't like the attack where he pulls his wings in and then pushes them out. I don't like how that first animation has a hitbox.
Okay, yeah, like
because of how fast it is.
This shouldn't do damage, but this one definitely should.
Yeah, and it's just because of how fast it is. You have to be not attacking already for you to be able to dodge it or block it.
Yeah,
it's just more of that. Like every other attack, it is reactable when you're in a combo, but that's the only one that you can't react to. Which is, if you could react to that attack, it wouldn't be nearly. I would actually think it would be a really good fight.
Fair enough.
Outside of the typical thing where they add adds into the fight to make it harder, but it's the harder cheap way.
Well, I don't think that's one of the things I do praise Ninja Gaiden. One of the many things I praise it for. Whereas is the difficulties, because most other games, when you increase the difficulty, it doesn't change the game at all. It's just either you take more damage or you get like less ammo or you get less healing items or the enemies do more damage, stuff like that. This game actually changes the enemies that you fight, and the enemies that you fight.
I don't mind it during the normal parts. I just don't like it where these bosses are already badly designed, and they're adding enemies in there and just to make it's harder. That's it.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. But yeah, it was funny that you when you came in last night, you're like, I had more deaths in this one fight than you've had in your entire game, your playthrough so far.
It's just because I just feel like I'm beating my head against the wall, so it's like, okay, I'm dead. Time to go. Time to do loading screen again.
I did notice on the last one I jumped in on that you did figure out that sometimes it's quicker to just restart the game with start select than to die and go through the load again. I did notice that you picked up on that.
It depends on where you are.
Right.
But with the way that you have to do this, you have to do the reload in Sigma version. You have to actually pause the game and actually go into the menu for that. So there's extra steps along the way for that. So it's almost not even worth it.
Oh, okay.
But if I use a talisman and I didn't want to use it, I'd rather just restart.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I've been doing as well. When I was like, well, I don't want to use the talisman on this fight, I'll restart the fight.
But it's just not, in my opinion, this is not a fair game, in the slightest.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It's definitely not fair.
That's why I don't like it. Like Dark Souls, for most part, it feels fair.
You feel that way. I don't feel that way.
I will give you on the Capper Demon and the Bed of Chaos. Everything else generally feels fair once you figure it out.
So, but yeah, I will be continuing. When are you going to be doing your next one? Do you know?
Probably Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. I
think even with everything going on, Saturday is going to be consistent, unless I'm on vacation.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll be continuing my Ninja Gaiden Black on Wednesday. I think I'll probably get it in probably about, I guess, 2, maybe 3 more streams. And unless I decide to go longer. I've been doing about 3 hours per stream. So if I go a little longer, I might be able to pull it off in less than that. But I think probably 2 to 3 more streams, I'll be able to finish it off.
I think my weekday streams are going to be a bit more tentative based on my work. But since I can work from home on Wednesdays, I might try and keep that as a permanent day for now.
Nice.
And then, of course, Monday will be the tentative day, and then I'll just keep Tuesday open just in case top 5 interests me.
All right. Well, let's see here. Look at the. Yeah, we have the next 2 top 5 topics figured out, so I'll let you know what those are afterwards if you feel so inclined.
Gotcha. But you already said one of them.
Yeah, I did tell you what one of them. All right. Well, since you already know what that one is, the next one after that is on the 22nd. That's top 5 controllers. If you're interested, that definitely sounds right up your alley since you are a physical collector.
Yeah, and I already know what my number 1 is.
So, I've not even told anyone. You're the first one I've
and I have used it on stream. So,
okay. So if you want to, I haven't even told anyone else what that topic is yet. I mean, it's in my Discord, but I don't know if
what about Jason?
Goes and look. No, well, Jason and I obviously we're the ones that discuss and take the topics, but neither of us have told anyone what that next topic is yet. So, but yeah. So, all right. Anything else you want to rage about on Ninja Gaiden Sigma?
No, but I want to shoot it with a shotgun.
After you, are you still? Like, I know I asked you this right when you first started it. Were you planning on getting the full completion? You said yes. Are you still holding to that, or
I still am for now.
Okay. Once you get the mastery and get all the achievements, are you going to destroy it?
I don't think I will because I'm a collector, but it makes me want to.
I totally
get it. It makes me want to do what Craig Screwtech did back in the day to Shaq Fu.
Oh, did he do some sort of ridiculous destruction of a copy?
Oh, anybody who donated Shaq Fu to them, it was a cartridge that was going to be destroyed by any means necessary.
And there were a lot of means necessary, I assume.
Yes.
That's great. All right.
And it was both versions of the game, both Genesis and
Super Nintendo. And it's funny because they had a guy who was a Shaq Fu collector on Side Scrollers. Not that well, I mean, it was like a year and a half ago or so, but that was funny because he's like, "Yeah, I have a huge collection of copies of that game." So, all right. So for me, shifting over from the retro achievement side back to the Xbox side, I didn't finish getting 100%, but as mentioned, like with Mega Man X, I got a Garbovian completion of Lords of Shadow 2, which I think I talked about last month because, nope, never mind. I played it in, let's see here. When did I was like, March. I didn't start it in March, but I did start it in March of 2019, but I didn't actually get into playing it again until, let's see here. No, that's 2020. 2022, 2022, 2022. Where's 2025? There it is. All right. Oh, I got back into playing it right at the end of February. So my first achievement this year in it was from February 27th. So I don't think I talked about it much on last month because I just started getting back into it. So although I do remember clearly that I did rant about how difficult it was to delete the save data and start the game over again. But yeah, so I have probably, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I had 11 achievements in the game so far out of 56. That's because I had used this game over the last 5 years. I get an achievement here, get an achievement there for different contests that I've been in where these achievements qualified for certain things. So I played it, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there over the course of like 5 years. So I had when I loaded it up first, I had no idea what the heck was going on. But when, like I always say, when I do that and I like, all right, I'm sitting down and this is the game I'm playing, I delete my save and I start from the beginning. So I actually had to play a good chunk of the game to get back to where I was in order to start getting achievements. Probably took me like 3 or 4 hours of gameplay to get back to that point. But I then played through it, and in the base game, there are 46 achievements, and I have 3 left in the base game. I've since moved on to other stuff, but basically it's for basically all the achievements are just for like unlocking all your skills, beating the game. There's a bunch of story achievements, buying all the upgrades. There's not really, it's pretty standard stuff. Nothing you really got to go out of your way for. There is the challenge mode. I had to beat the challenge mode. A couple of those challenges were a royal pain in the butt. But I did all of those as well. I think I did all of them. Yeah, I did do all of them. But so basically, if I essentially 100%ed everything you can do in a single playthrough. The 3 achievements I don't have in the base game is for beating it on Prince of Darkness difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty, which you don't even unlock until you beat it on normal. So I was like, I'm not going to, because I'm, focusing on trying to get as many achievements as possible in like the shortest period of time right now in order to get my completion percentage back up. I was like, I'm not going to do a full playthrough of the game again in order to get 3 achievements. And I have to do everything all over again and 100% it again on the hardest difficulty. Because there's an achievement for beating it on the hardest difficulty. There's an achievement for beating all the challenges on the hardest difficulty. I had a pain just beating them on the easiest difficulty. I was like, I do not want to bother with banging my head against the wall on this one, doing it on the hardest difficulty. And then there's an achievement for 100%, 110%ing the game, which is basically getting 100% of the game like I just did, but on the hardest difficulty, which is the extra 10%. So I was like, because you don't have to do like those challenges. The walkthrough actually says don't do these challenges on the normal difficulty because you're just going to have to do them again on the harder difficulty anyway. So just wait till your harder difficulty playthrough and do all of those. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do them now because I'm not going to do those achievements now. And it may be years till I get back to 100% in this game. So I was like, I'll just do it all over again at some other point. So those are the 3 achievements I'm missing. I do have 100% on Lord of Shadow 1, but I played that back in like 2014, like a decade ago. I wanted to play through that one again before I played this one for like story wise, but I was like, because like I just said, I would have been playing through it and not getting any achievements because I already have all the achievements. So I was like, I'm not going to bother with it now. But one thing that was a kind of a nice surprise is because I had not heard, I might have mentioned this last month, but I had not heard a lot of great things about Lord of Shadow 2 from the few people I've heard have played it. And I was just expecting it to be just like Lord of Shadow 1, which is, level based. You go to the map and you select your level and you select your difficulty and you move from point A to point B. Lord of Shadow 2 actually is an open, interconnected world. There's no reason why it wouldn't be considered a Metroidvania because you do acquire abilities that allow you to reach new areas. It absolutely counts as a Metroidvania. I've never seen or heard anyone anywhere say, yeah, it's a Metroidvania, but it absolutely qualifies for sure. So I did not know that going into it. I'm like, sweet, this is a secret Metroidvania. I didn't know it was a Metroidvania. So that was pretty cool. The story, I have no idea why some of the stuff was happening. I'm like, why are these people here? They died in the first game. Why are they alive in this one? I was like, story makes no sense to me. Obviously, like I said, it had been like a decade since I played the first one. So I was like, I have no idea what's going on with the story. So, but I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the map was really great. And then I went in and I did the DLC. There are 10 achievements. I have all but 2 of them. Why am I missing that one? Most of the achievements, just like the main game, is just basically beating the story of the DLC, maxing out all your abilities, beating the DLC. Like I said, there's only 10 of them. The 2 achievements I don't have is called Art Dealer for collecting all the artwork. Oh, that's why. Is because it's there. The artwork isn't something you collect in game. It's not like an item or a collectible you go and find. There are certain items that you can pick up that unlock like the artwork where you go to the main menu, or there isn't the main menu, which is part of the one of the things that was really frustrating about the game. But you do have an extras when you pause the game. You can go to extras. You can see the artwork that you've unlocked of like artwork that they use to like design the game. So it's not like stuff that's in the game, like a collectible, like a picture or something in game. It's like developer behind the scenes sort of artwork, and you you can pick up little items in the game that unlock them in your extras menu. But you also like unlock them randomly by getting certain amounts of XP, and it's like completely arbitrary. And by the time I had done everything else in the DLC, I only had like half of them. So I would just be running around grinding out XP just to hope that I get these things to unlock. So I was like, I'm not going to bother with it right now, because the other achievement I have is for, I opened another tab, is for beating the DLC on the hardest difficulty, which isn't too bad because the DLC is not terribly long. So I was like, I'm going to be playing through the DLC again anyways, and it will stack. So any progress I've made now, I'll continue from there. It's not like my progress on that on the artwork achievement is going to reset. It's like, I'm just not going to worry about it now. Once I beat it again on the hardest difficulty, then I'll grind out whatever's remaining for those artwork ones. And that's the main reason why I didn't do the Prince of Darkness difficulty on the DLC, is because of that artwork one. Because beating the DLC on the hardest difficulty, it's a pretty short DLC. It says 3 to 4 hours on the estimate of completion for just the DLC. And that's for 2 playthroughs. I spent more than that just on my 1 playthrough. But still, it's not terribly long. So beating on the hardest difficulty wouldn't be too bad. But I was just like, I'm still not going to have the completion because I still got to go grind out these stupid artworks. So I was like, I'm just going to worry about it later. If I had already had the artwork achievement, or if I was much closer than like halfway, I probably would have done the Prince of Darkness difficulty and gotten both those achievements and finished off the DLC. But I was like, I'm not going to worry about it right now. But one of the cool things about the DLC is it kind of fills in the gap between Lord of Shadow 1 and Lord of Shadow 2. A little bit, because you actually play the DLC not as Gabriel Belmont, who's you've played as in both Lord of Shadow 1 and 2. You actually play as Alucard, who you play as in Symphony of the Night. As far as I know, because I'm not too well versed on the Castlevania franchise, I think this is the only game outside of Symphony of the Night you actually play as Alucard.
You play as Alucard in the 3rd game.
Is that just called?
He's one of the choosable characters.
Okay, so that's just
you have like 4 characters you can play as, and one of them is Alucard.
Oh, okay, and that's just Castlevania 3.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And it's kind of like the same way Curse of the Moon did.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it sounds a lot like Curse of the Moon then.
Yeah.
But that came out before Symphony of the Night, right?
Yes, it was on the original Nintendo.
So this is the first time you can play as Alucard since Symphony of the Night then. So it's been a long time, and it's a 3D hack and slash. You play as Alucard.
There was an Xbox Live Arcade game that you could play as Alucard, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is it Harmony of Dissonance?
Yes.
I have that one. I've gotten the first achievement in it, but I haven't actually played it. That's the 6-player one.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense on why he would be in that one, because you each play as different characters. But that's one that I still have yet to go and play. So, all right. Well, then I was wrong about that. But it's cool that you get to play as Alucard. The one and only time you play as Alucard in a 3D game. And you use his big sword.
I think you could play as Alucard also in Judgment.
I don't think I've ever even heard of Castlevania.
That's the Wii fighting game.
Is that a 3D fighter?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you're just freaking... debunking everything I'm saying. Although I wouldn't really consider that like because that's a 3D fighter. You're still in a small arena. I meant it as more of like a 3D open world, not open world, but a 3D game where you would go and explore the world, sort of thing.
Let me look it up, just make sure I'm right.
But that would be funny if you are.
Yes,
right.
Alucard is.
Okay.
And he's based on the Dracula's Curse 3.
Okay. But yeah, you use his sword, which I've heard before because it's one of the most overpowered weapons in Symphony of the Night. I've only ever heard one person speak the name of it, and they said Chrysogrim, and that's how I've always thought it was pronounced as well. But he actually says the name of his sword in the Lord of Shadow DLC, Lord of Shadow 2 DLC, and he calls it the Crisagrim. So it's kind of like Leviosa, where it's very similar, but how you pronounce it is different, where you put the emphasis. But that's coming directly from Konami, so I'm assuming that is correct, the Crisagrim. And so it kind of fills in that gap between Lord of Shadow 1 and 2. But yeah, so that was what I played at the beginning of March. And I got my last achievement in Lord of Shadow 2 on March 6th. So I played it right at the beginning of the month. So
Oh, by the way, what happens when you reverse Alucard?
I'm really bad at backwards letters.
It's Dracula.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Did you not know that?
I did not know that. That makes a lot of sense, though.
I know that. I think in the Castlevania series, Alucard actually was given another name at birth, but he chose Alucard.
Yeah, so I don't know how
afterward.
Because the Lords of Shadow games, because there's Lords of Shadow, Lord of Shadow 2, and there's Mirror of Fate. All of them are in the same like sub universe of Castlevania, where they have their own continuity that's separate from the platforming games. So I don't know anything about the platforming lore, but in Lords of Shadow universe, like the Mirror of Fate game, which I talked about a couple months ago, you play as 3 of the different characters in the universe, where you start out as Simon Belmont, then you play as Alucard, and then you play as Trevor Belmont. And so it's kind of weird because I did mention this, but when you all 3 of those, well, because Act 1 is playing as Simon Belmont, then you get to the point which would essentially be the end of the game where you fight Dracula. Then the game pauses and you then play as Alucard, and Act 2 you're playing as Alucard, and that's taking place at the exact same time as Act 1 was, but instead of you controlling Simon Belmont, you're now controlling Alucard, because they do cross paths during the course of Act 1. You're just seeing it now from the other perspective. Act 3, you play as Trevor Belmont, who in the Lords of Shadow universe was Gabriel Belmont's son, who becomes Alucard. And it's telling the story of how he became Alucard. And then at the end of Act 3, it goes back to essentially the end of Act 1 and 2, where Simon Belmont and Alucard meet up and fight Gabriel Belmont, who is Simon Belmont's the first guy. That's his grandfather, because Trevor Belmont, who is Alucard, is Simon's father. I know that's kind of confusing, but it's you and your dad, essentially, who is Alucard, fighting your grandpa, who is Dracula, who is Gabriel Belmont. And so they all kind of coerce into this one fight against Dracula. And that takes place somewhere between Lord of Shadow 1 and 2, and the DLC of Lord of Shadow 2 kind of picks up in between the gap of Mirror of Fate and Lord of Shadow 2. I know it's quite complicated, but yeah. So
just let you know, Alucard does show up in the 2 Sorrow games.
But Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow?
Yes, but he doesn't call himself Alucard whenever you first see him.
Okay, he calls himself by his birth name, essentially?
No, he actually goes by a different name, because he's actually, I won't say who it is, because it'll be instantaneous whenever you see him.
Okay. Yeah, because I definitely will be playing them. So yeah, definitely don't spoil it. So
it's one of the few times that you actually get spoiled by something in that game.
All right, let me breeze through a couple of quick ones, and we'll go back to you for one more, and then I've got one more game to deep dive into. So another game that I've been playing for a couple of years, as I've mentioned, Sudoku I've been able to play it on my phone and get Xbox achievements, which is awesome. And I've mentioned it a number of times since we've been doing this, that there's basically 2 achievements I had left in that one. One is for completing 500 puzzles, which is easy, just takes a long time. And then the other one is for getting 12 bronze medals, which you can only get 1 a month. So it takes 12 months, a year, to get that achievement. So I got to like 496 puzzles completed, so I only needed 4 more. And I got to like a bronze medal takes 3,000 points to get, and then a silver medal takes like 9,000, so it's like triple the amount. And then like a gold medal was like 15 or 17,000 points, and then
Platinum.
there was a platinum. I never got a platinum, but a platinum is like you have to complete every challenge on every day of the month. And
you had to do that once.
There was no achievement. Actually, let's see here. Was there achievement for platinum? But if there is achievement for it, it was just one time. Let's see here. Platinum. No, there's no platinum. There was an achievement for. Oh, there is an achievement for called a diamond badge, which is for getting enough points. You didn't have to do every challenge in a month. A platinum is for completing every challenge in a month. A diamond is for completing almost every one. So there was an achievement for a diamond, and I did do that once, but I didn't do the platinum, although I swear I did. But when I'm looking at my stats, it shows platinum medals, it says 0. I'm like, there's no achievement for it, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so I've been working on that over the course of the last year. So I got like right to the edge where, the bronze medal only takes like 3,000. You can literally get a bronze if you do every challenge, because there's 3 a day. There 3 daily challenges a day, and that's how you get these medals. And you can get, if you do all 3 challenges each day, you can get to a bronze medal by like the 3rd or 4th day of the month. So it's pretty easy. So at March 3rd or whatever, I had like 2,800 points. So I only need to complete like 1 more challenge, and I only need to complete 4 more puzzles because the daily challenges don't count as puzzles. And so I was like, you know what? I'm right on the verge of these 2 achievements. I'm just going to leave them basically backlogged. So in case I need them in an event of emergency to keep my achievement streak alive, I'll have something where I can play it for just a couple minutes and get an achievement. And then that happened like twice within like the next week, where I didn't have not that I didn't have time to game, but the games I was playing, I wasn't getting any achievements in, like Lords of Shadow, because I had to play through a good chunk of the game again in order to get any achievements. So I basically burned both of those achievements in order to keep my streak alive. So I did finish it on March 15th. I got the achievement for completing 500 puzzles, and on March 12th, I got the achievement for getting all 12 bronze puzzles, and I now have 100% completion in the Sudoku game. And it says an 80 to 100 hour completion. My time on True Achievement says 176 hours, but that's on my phone, so it's not like I'm sitting there doing that. That's just like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there over the course of. Let's see. My first achievement was in, I think it was 2019, February 2020. So 5 years, a few minutes here, a few minutes there. So long completion time, but it wasn't that bad because I'm just playing it, here and there. It's not like just playing, and I was able to do it on my phone, so that was great. So finished that off. I was hoping to keep those achievements for a bit more of emergency, but I needed them because didn't get any achievements. Then I was had a long stream, and it was like 11:30 at night, and I needed an achievement. I'm like, I don't think there are any achievements I can get within 30 minutes except for one of these. So I burned those achievements and finished it. So I don't have any achievements right now that are like I can go get off the cuff if I need it in the case of an emergency. And then a couple of quick games I played. I panic played them before they left Game Pass. Not a whole lot to say about them. The first one was Open Roads, and it's basically a almost like, no, I wouldn't say it's a visual novel, but it was a walking simulator essentially, because there's just like 3 or 4 areas that you go and explore, and it's you and your mom go on this. Your grandma died, and you found like a secret compartment in her attic that indicated that she might not have been faithful to you. Play as the 16-year-old girl or whatever. You find out from this thing that you find in the attic that your grandma might not have necessarily been faithful to your grandpa, and your grandpa might not actually be your grandpa. So you and your mom go on this adventure to find out the truth, and they find out that because they thought their grandpa had died, or she had died, and you're with your mom, who obviously that was her dad, and she's finding out, was this person actually my dad or not? And he was, but he was a criminal, and he faked his own death in order to and move to Canada to escape the authorities. So at the end of the story, you find out that your grandpa was your grandpa, but this person with this other name that you thought was like your step grandpa was actually him, just by another name, but you had just never met him. So it was a short game. It was probably like a 2 or 3 hour game. So,
what a roller coaster of emotions they must have gone through.
yeah, it wasn't a bad story. So it was a quick game. So it was easy to panic play before it left Game Pass. And then the other one is a very cute, adorable. It's a kid's game. It's called Lil, not little, but Lil, like Lil, kind of like a rapper would do, like Lil Jon. It's called Lil Gator Game, and it's very cute, cel shaded. It's basically like a kid's My First Wind Waker, where you're this little alligator, and you go around this island with your friends, and you're basically playing like a real life D&D, or well, you're trying to set up like a real life D&D. Because your sister's gone off to college and she's back for a break. And it's something that you and your sister did when you were both kids, but now she's off to college and you kind of want to relive some of those glory days with your sister, but she's too busy doing, homework and stuff on her laptop the whole time. So you're going around getting all your friends to set up this island as these different towns and set up encounters and stuff. So it was really cute. It was pretty short. Panic played it because it was a quick game that was leaving Game Pass, because I'll pretty much play anything on Game Pass if it's a quick completion. And it was really cute.
Of course you would.
That was probably like a 5 or 6 hour completion. So it wasn't terribly long, and it was really cute. So I played that and got the completion in that. So I got one more to go into in depth, but I will, if you want to talk about one other thing, I'll let you do that before I finish off with my last thing.
Yeah, I guess I could talk about the one game I played a lot this month, but that wasn't for achievements, and that was the game that everyone seems to be playing now from in our friend group, and that is Warframe. And you might even be jumping into it.
I have something to say about that, because I've been talking to you behind the scenes about it, and I came up with a great idea the other day in regards to what I was asking you about, but I'll go ahead and let you talk about it, and then I'll talk about it.
But pretty much what this update did was it added one new mission, and it's just a defense mission, and it's pretty typical defense mission. But it just added a warframe and a weapon behind it. And one thing, the
warframes are like the suits that you get, right?
Yes, they're pretty much the classes.
Okay, classes, gotcha.
And this is the guitar frame that I was like, hey, this is when I
love this.
Yeah, well, literally when I heard that this was a warframe that they were working on, that's when I told Paul, they're bringing a guitar warframe, and like within the week he started playing the game. so
how is it a guitar warframe? How does that work? Is it like inspired by, or does it like look like a guitar?
It actually has a guitar as a weapon.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like a beam weapon, so it just like spits out fire that you can mod.
So it's not a melee weapon; it's a gun.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But the other that's the final ability on that warframe. The other abilities are like pyrotechnics, where you just do a couple of fire blasts in front, fire pillars in front of you. And there's another one that's like another type of pyrotechnics where you actually just blast some fire in front of you, and it increased crit chance on the enemies that it hits. And then of course there's the third one. You do a little solo, and then you're invulnerable for a little bit.
Nice.
Then after the invulnerability phase, you get you can heal yourself by attacking enemies.
Oh, that sounds pretty dope.
If you know what you're doing, you can keep the character alive, and they can do a decent amount of status around and damage. So
okay,
it's not a bad warframe.
Does Paul have this one yet?
No, he does not.
Okay,
I could check because I'm still logged in.
I'm assuming he's working on trying to get that one.
He still needs to get to the point in the game where he can unlock it.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know anything about the game other than what you've told me before.
Because it's under the new stuff, pretty much.
So when they add a new warframe, is it something where you have to like hope you get like a certain drop chance, or can you start doing it?
That's what it has been for a while, but recently they've been doing some things with new updates, where because now whenever you're doing that defense mission, you have a random chance of getting the parts for the warframe from each rotation of the defense mission. So like it used to be every 5 waves you get would be a rotation. With this update, they actually reduced it down to 3. So
Okay, nice.
so that was a nice quality of life improvement, that because that's been, and the 5 ways for a defense mission has been around for over a decade.
Yeah.
So
So when they do add new frames, you still have it's not like you just have it immediately. You have to go get the required items in order to
you
craft it,
could pay the
right?
premium currency, or you can go and grind it.
Okay.
But but another thing that they've been doing recently is that with that defense mission, even uh, every time you finish a rotation, you also get a currency for a new store in one of the and the um corresponding hub area, pretty much. They've pretty much been making this a thing where, so it's pretty much pity currency. So you can calculate out how many of this pity currency you would need to get to fully get everything from the store. So if you end up not getting the parts that you need, you eventually have a point of actually getting it,
You can buy
because
them.
there are a lot of older Warframes that don't have this pity currency, so you could just keep on not getting that one part for the Warframe forever,
Okay.
or at
So
least it feels like forever if it's a long enough rotation.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Let's just say Korra is one of those.
How many in-game currencies are there then?
There's quite a few, but they're usually pretty self-contained nowadays. Because like you do this mission for this store, that's it.
Okay.
So like you go grind this mission, and that's all you do for that store.
Not too convoluted.
Yeah, they try not to intermingle those type of currencies.
Okay.
The most complicated it got was on Deimos, and that was because of the way the tokens worked between the family members. Because each family member had their own token. Because you had mom, dad, son, and daughter and grandmother. But but grandma tokens were a bit different, because you're supposed to give like the other tokens to grandma to get the grandma tokens, and those were like for specific things in her store. But you typically you needed the tokens to upgrade, because in a syndicate you would get certain standing. You could get a certain amount of standing per day, and if you get to a certain point, you can upgrade your rank in the syndicate. But you would usually need to give things to the syndicate to be able to upgrade, and like it could be materials you get from doing the missions, or it could be and Deimos. That's the only reason why you would really need son and daughter tokens for the most part, is
Okay.
whenever you're upgrading. At Other than that, you would really just get mom tokens for the syndicate points, because the way that one works, you give tokens to grandma, and she gives you syndicate points. So they did it that way because for the previous 2 open world areas, you had to grind out bounties every day, and if you couldn't play for a day, you would lose out on that standing for that day, because you can only get a certain amount of standing per day, and that depends on your mastery rank. Well, they decided with this open world that they would, instead of giving you the points directly for the bounties, they would give you these tokens that you could turn in. So instead of grinding out bounties every day, you could spend your entire Saturday grinding out these bounties and getting those tokens, and then you just have to remember to log in to turn in the tokens.
Oh, so you can more backlog it, so you don't have
Yeah,
to play necessarily every day, other than going and turning in as many tokens as you can each day.
yep.
Oh,
That's the way.
okay.
That was their thinking for that, but um, they kind of pull it back on that idea with the 1999. But you get so many of the materials that you can actually turn in for standing at this point, that I've got so many I don't even know what to do with.
I bet. So, what? Because I've seen that Warframe 1999. What is the 1999 part? What does that mean?
It's just that you go back in time to an alternate universe, where a guy from our universe is messing with this universe, because he wants to try and, because they're building up this new enemy called the Man in the Wall, and he's kind of like the entity inside the void, which is where you get all your magic from.
Okay, that
And
sounds a lot like the game that I'm about to talk about.
but but he's trying to do he's doing it in very questionable ways, like very unethical ways, like
Okay,
performing performing life-changing medication to people that turn, because one thing in this game is that the Warframes are actually an infested human inside a suit that's given ability to channel the void magic
Okay.
through. And so this guy took some of the original Warframes, something that he could inject from, and he went back in time to this time frame where it's like an extremely early form of the infection, which is actually more of a technology type infection called tech rot.
Okay.
And so people were getting infected with tech rot. So he came with this miracle drug saying, "Hey, this will help you," and it ends up turning them into these people into Warframes.
Oh.
So,
Dirty.
but they're still human and not really infested. So, although two of the characters are much closer to the infestation than everyone else, and it kind of messes with their minds, which is funny because one of them is actually is someone who can read minds. The other one is the guitar frame.
Okay. So is 1999, would that be considered like one of the seasons of this game?
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much it's a syndicated in its own little section of the game, because like each planet has its own thing, and recently since they've already done every planet in our solar system and even a couple slightly outside, they pretty much have gone, okay, what can we do now to add content to the game, and adding sections. And so they did. So one they did the Zariman, which is actually the original ship that had an accident that caused your character become magic induced. And so that was its own section with its own syndicate, but it wasn't really open world like Earth, Venus, and Deimos have. But they're just kind of like they're the typical type of procedural generated tile sets that you would see throughout the rest of the game. Just that there are new tile sets, and that's what 1999 is. It's just another for a seasoned veteran like me. It's just another tile set with new enemies to fight.
Okay.
Because they can't really use the same exact enemy types that they were using in the rest of the game for 1999.
Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, regarding Warframe, I think I mentioned it. I'm pretty sure I was talking about it when I was on Metroidvania Monday, because Paul recently had mentioned that there's an app that you can do to kind of maintain some stuff without actually having to play the game. And so I was like, because I'm planning on starting it once I start all my new games, which I'm getting very close to, but it could still be a couple months before that happens. I was thinking, so I'm planning on playing it. Maybe I could use that to start working on stuff until I'm ready to play it. And then I'll have a bit of an edge. I'll have some stuff ahead of time. So I asked Dude, I was like, hey, is there anything I can do with the app to kind of get started without actually having played the game yet? And he's like, no, you can't. I was like, all right, well, can I start the game and get started without unlocking any achievements? He's like, no, you can't really do that either
because you'll
right
like
away.
literally the first level you'll probably get an achievement because you level up to level 2 on your Warframe.
Yeah. So I was like, shoot. Okay. So what I haven't talked to you about, but this is the part I talked about on Metroidvania Monday, is after you informed me of that, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure this game is cross-platform.
It is
And
also cross save now too. So
exactly. And I was like, and if it's cross-platform, it might be cross-save as well. So I went and looked at it and said, yeah, it's cross-save. So I've been looking into the details of the cross-platform, the cross-save and stuff. And because I know you play both on Xbox and on PlayStation, and
I don't do PlayStation anymore because at this point the cross save is there and there's no point.
okay,
And they haven't really added achievements in a while. So
that was one thing I was going to ask you. I was like, I know you. Well, at least when we started doing this, you would, because I think that was something they just added earlier this year or maybe late last year.
it was a little bit ago, but they
Oh,
the feature that I actually ended up abusing was only open to accounts made before a certain date, and that
yes,
was where you could merge two accounts
yes.
together.
I've
Now
been
it's just
finding out
linking.
there's
Now it's just linking accounts together.
yes, that's what there was the ability to merge accounts across multiple platforms. Now that doesn't exist. it's only linking, and that happened, I think, earlier this year. That changed.
Yeah.
Um,
But for a little bit, I was abusing that system to get some materials you can only get once a week.
by
But it
doing it on
got
multiple
to a
platforms.
point where I was getting tired of doing it twice a week. So
So, okay, because yeah, I remember when we first started doing this, achievement chasers, you had mentioned that, so I was like, wait a minute, maybe there's something to that. So I looked into it and found out there is the cross save linking, and how that works is,
and it's probably
if
a good idea you're starting on PC first because it technically creates your account as a PC account when it's a cross save account.
yeah, so if you want to link accounts, you do have to have a PC account. Even if you don't have to actually download and play the PC game if you don't want to, but you have to have a PC Warframe account in order to link multiple other accounts.
Yep.
But so my idea was, well, instead of starting it on Xbox, since it's got cross save, what I could do is I could start on PC and I'll get Steam achievements, but I don't really care as much about my Steam completion percentage as I do about my Xbox completion percentage. So I was like, I'll start on PC, and then once I'm ready to play it on Xbox, what I'll do is I'll get because I have so many games to dive. Once I get to it, it's going to take me a while to dive all my games, but I'll get one achievement in Warframe, and then once I end my dive, then I'll link my accounts, because anything I've done on PC, once I link the accounts, those achievements will automatically pop on Xbox. And I don't want that to happen immediately, because I only want to get one achievement in the game for my dive. So I was like, that's what I'll do, is I'll do it on PC, and then I'll do my dive, and then I'll link them after that. And then when you link accounts, if you have, because the game exists on a bunch of different platforms, you have to pick one that is your primary, and then that save overwrites all the other saves across your other platforms. So when I started on Xbox, I'll have only just started it to get the first achievement. So any progress that gets lost doesn't really matter, because I'll have more progress on PC. But then I had another idea when I was looking at all the platforms Warframe is on. It's like, it's on PlayStation, it's on Xbox, it's on Steam, it's on Switch, and it's on iOS. So I was like, wait, maybe I'll do it on my Switch, because then there's no achievements at all. So I don't even have to, not necessarily stain my my Steam account with achievements,
Just do it on your Steam.
but then I won't have to worry about further reducing my Steam completion percentage. So I was like, I'll do it on my Switch. So I downloaded it on my Switch, but it takes up more space than my Switch hard drive, and I don't have an expansion card for it, so I literally can't even fit the game on my Switch. I was like, well, forget that idea. But then I noticed, like, oh, it says it's on iOS as well. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do it on my iPad instead, because there's also no achievements involved that way. But you'll have to tell me about this, because of the save linking. Maybe I will just do it on Steam, because once I link my accounts, when I'm playing it, I'll be playing it on Xbox. But if I then launch it on Steam, will all the relevant achievements on Steam unlock that match everything I've done on Xbox?
They should, because
yes.
remember whenever I was playing on PS4 for a little bit, I then realized that they had a PS5 version of the game, and they had separate trophy lists. So when I went from the PS4 to PS5 version, all the PS5 trophies unlocked. So
It's
it
okay.
should work the same way as on Steam.
Then in
and
that case,
Xbox.
I'll go ahead and do the Steam
It should.
version, so that when I can then go and log into the Steam version, and all the Steam achievements should unlock. So,
By the way, you want to know something crazy?
I-
Guess what the last time that they actually introduced an
new
achievement?
achievement.
It was 2021.
Wow, it's been 5 years since they've added an achievements, because there's been plenty of
4
updates since
years.
then.
Yeah, it's just they don't add achievements anymore.
4 years, yeah. So,
And that's not even looking at true achievements. I was actually just looking at the patch notes and looking at my last achievement unlocked.
oh, because you already have them all, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Paul's over on Rumble. It says not live on YouTube. I was supposed to be live on YouTube, but Restream screwed me and decided not to go live on YouTube. So I'm gonna upload this after the fact on YouTube. Restream has been screwing me over a few times in the last couple weeks, and it has not made me happy. So, It was supposed to be. It just decided not to, and I didn't even know it until like an hour into the stream. Until Rocker Dude was over on Twitch and said, "You're not live on YouTube." I'm
Wait,
like, "I'm supposed to be."
I just looked it up. Apparently, True Achievements doesn't even have all the achievements from Warframe.
The Steam achievements has. I mentioned this on the other night that has about 60 more achievements than the Xbox version. The Xbox version I think has 109. The Steam version has like 169.
Yeah.
No, sorry. The Xbox version has 109. And Steam has like 169. So there are more achievements on Steam than there are on Xbox. But whether it's actually for stuff that wasn't in the Xbox version or whether it's just more achievements for stuff that you would have already done in Xbox, I have no idea. Because I haven't actually looked at them. And I don't, even if I looked at them, I don't think I would understand what any of the achievements are until I played the game.
Yeah, most of them are just like, I think the craziest one is, I still think one of the crazier ones is definitely the is from the Fortuna update, and it's ride 1 million kilometers on the K drive. You're gonna spend a lot of time grinding that out.
I was briefly looking through the achievements the other day, and I did notice that one had a very high ratio.
Yeah, so that one just because it just takes a long time. Thing is though,
easy, but yeah.
Back when I did it, there was actually a glitch that you could abuse.
Oh, I saw someone's solution about that, but I think it's been patched since then.
Yeah, because you could actually fall. You could go to the edge of the map
and then
fall off the map, and then whenever it sends you back to the start of the map, it counted all that time, all that distance that you teleported.
Yep, I remember reading that achievement. The one of the solutions for that.
It's just something that'll take time, so it's something you should just listen while you're listening to a podcast or something.
Okay. So, yeah, Paul, you got hopped in at the perfect time because if you haven't caught on, we're talking about Warframe right now. But the K drive, I'm assuming that's Warframe's version of like the Sparrow from Destiny.
No, the K drive is actually the Tony Hawk board.
Oh, it's like a hoverboard.
Yes.
Okay. So, but yeah, Paul, just to give you a little bit of a synopsis of my end that I've been talking about for like the last 5 or 10 minutes is I figured out I'm going to go ahead and start it soon, but not on Xbox. I'm going to start it on Steam. And then once I'm ready to play it on Xbox.
Oh, I just saw why True Achievement. I didn't see the True Achievements having this update. It's because for some reason they have the updates in the wrong order on the list.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they have update 30.7, and the next one is update 24.2.9.
Weird.
Yeah, why is 30 in the middle? But yeah.
Yeah, so but yeah, Paul, I don't know if I'll be able to join you at all, but I decided I'm going to go ahead and start playing it on Steam because I can transfer my progress to Xbox once I'm ready to start playing.
I think they're playing through Steam, so.
And yeah, it doesn't really matter what you're playing on. You can always play with anyone else because it's got the crossplay. But I haven't been started it yet because of the achievements. But then I was like, wait a minute, I can just play it on another platform, and then I can start it on Xbox later and transfer my progress over. So I'll be starting that here probably within the next couple of weeks. So I will be able to join you at some point if I'm able to. Just depends on timing if it works out. So, which maybe we'll make that a thing. I'll have to talk to you after I'm done with Ninja Gaiden on Wednesday nights.
It sounds like right now they're mostly a 3-group team, but if Flame Mage becomes their 4th,
because that's a 3-person game, right? Kind of like Destiny.
No, it's 4.
Oh, it is 4.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking,
but Flame Mage might become their 4th.
Oh, okay. Flame Mage was in chat the other night. He was talking about it as well. So, but yeah, I'm gonna be starting it here soon, and then I'll just transfer my progress over to Xbox eventually.
But everything I was talking about earlier, that's not what I was spending most of my time on.
Okay.
What I was spending most of my time on is on the new enemies that are based on the Nemesis system.
Oh, so he says another Tenno has joined us. Yes. What is a Tenno?
That's your character. That's the name of your. That's pretty much your character.
The player character in Warframe. Okay.
Yeah, but
we swap our 4th regularly. Okay.
Because I've hopped in a couple of times to mess with them or help them out.
This way, once I'm, I'll have a head start, and I can start using the app as well to start doing stuff, so that when I get to actually playing it on Xbox, then I will have some progress. So, anyways, sorry. Go ahead with what your time has been consisted of playing Warframe.
Yep, but when it comes to Warframe, quite a few years ago, they added something called the Nemesis system, or
completely unrelated.
Not the Nemesis system, the Lich system. It's based on the Nemesis system.
from
from
the Middle Earth games.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's not exactly the same because you only have one of them, and they just kind of pester you whenever you've created one. You won't have to worry about creating one for a long while, but pretty much what the entire system when that system came into being is that they created a bunch of new variants of old weapons to make them more powerful, to bring up with power creep, and it worked for most of them. A couple of them it did not, which sucks, but pretty much what it was is that you just played through normal missions that they had and that they had control over, and if you and you pretty much kill their underlings, and you slowly will learn a word that is associated with how to kill them, because you need 3 words in your hidden dagger, pretty much.
It's like the
In the correct order.
Skyrim.
In the correct order.
Shouts.
Yeah, but you need them in the correct order as well. But you find out slowly by killing their underlings, and then you could also try and kill them without the words. But whenever you kill them, they'll upgrade and go to the next planet. So for the Grineer, they start on Earth, then they go to Mars, then they go to Saturn, then they go to Sedna, and then they go to Kuva Fortress. I can't remember the exact way. I can't remember the exact order that the sisters go through, and those are the corpus version of the liches. Yeah, they took your endo because
what does that mean?
That's the material you use to upgrade mods.
Oh, okay.
So but the liches, they'll take a little bit of everything from you, but they can take some really crazy things from you if you're on the wrong planet for that mission type. But the sisters, since they're corpus, they only take credits, which is your in-game currency.
Okay.
And then the new system, which is actually based on the infested, they're based on a boy band that they created for 1999. Because this is a tech version of Infestation. I think the AI behind it was like thinking, why do these guys get so much money and all this popularity? So they just try to recreate them. So you're right.
That's why maybe it was Paul. Somebody was saying something about a boy band the other day, and I had no idea. That was you.
I killed another boy band. That's pretty much what I was saying.
I was like, someone said something about a boy band. I was like, I have no idea what that means. That makes more sense.
Let's see how many I've killed.
Yeah, Paul says there's a lot to learn, Neo. I would assume this game's been around for a while. It's been a lot of updates.
Let's see now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16. I've killed 25 already. I'll be killing my 20. No, wait, 23. I'll be killing my 24th right after this because I actually finished up the thing. But the word system only works for the Grineer and the Corpus. They created a new system for the current ones where you have to go find antivirus mods for that hidden blade, and then you just have to find the one antivirus that works for your current boy band. And then you just keep on using it over and over again on them until it's time to go finish them off on the Railjack mission.
Okay.
And the whole way that the fight goes on is that it has 2 phases pretty much. The first phase is them performing a song with all the pyrotechnics and stuff trying to kill you. So the whole point is to dodge the attacks, because if you don't dodge enough of the attacks, you actually get an armor reduction for the second phase.
Okay.
So just try and dodge as many attacks, or just be someone like Revenant who can just take the hits without even caring. So, but pretty much the fight is pretty much like any other Warframe fight against. But the thing is, though, just because you only have one specific member of the boy band that's your nemesis, you actually end up fighting all 5 members in the second phase.
Sounds like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, but the one that was your chosen nemesis is the one that's like the leader.
Okay.
So if you kill him before the other 4, he actually gets revived, and he has all of his full abilities available to him.
Oh, so you want to leave him for last?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Once I actually start this game, maybe we'll need to do like a Dude Soul sort of thing where you or maybe Paul can help.
I think it'd be better for Paul to help you out
since it's more fresh for him.
Yeah. And also, I've tried doing that with my
on where to
I've
get
tried
started.
doing that with my brother, but even with a new account. But because I had all the muscle memory from everything, I knew how to build my weapons and stuff. So because of that, I was pretty much running circles around him, even though we were at the same level.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So. All right.
But because I can usually kill one boy band in about an hour, so it's not too terribly long. And I'm only doing it in this way because I'm actually someone who's tried to max out everything.
Yeah.
So for someone like you wouldn't even need to do the boy band fight because it doesn't even have an achievement tied to it. But
okay.
I would still suggest doing it at least once.
Yeah.
Although it does have railjack associated with it, and so you'll probably get level up. There is an achievement for maxing out one of the trees for the railjack.
Okay, I was like railjack. That sounds like a transformer. Like
railjack is the space combat.
Okay. So there's like space combat missions.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
And each of the Nemesis systems now end on a railjack mission. It used to be that they didn't.
Okay.
I think when it originally came out, you at the moment you were able to, you had the correct order, you would instantly either vanquish or convert your Nemesis. But when they added the sisters, they added the railjack portion to both Liches and sisters.
Okay.
And whenever you convert them, that means that they can be that you can actually call on them to in any mission you want, or sometimes they'll randomly come into your mission.
Like
or you can make sort of thing? or you can make them part of your railjack crew.
Okay.
Whenever you don't have other players.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because if you set it up right, you will always have 3 other people on your ship.
Whether they're human crewmates or whether they're actually player controlled or NPCs.
Yep. And then if you leave it on public and people come in, it'll just take over one of your crewmates as one of the players.
Oh, okay. And if you do leave it on public, is there anything that a random person could do to screw up your game?
In certain railjack missions where you need to go inside the enemy galleon, they can kind of mess it up because they can just be AFK and it would cause the missions to halt.
Oh, yeah. Paul's like, Neo has no idea what's being said. I'm picking up on some of it.
Although luckily, I think they have made it so if the game recognizes that someone's AFK for that long and everyone else is waiting to get into the galleon or the big ship, it'll actually kick them out. Okay. It just takes a little too long for my taste.
But they couldn't do anything to actually like ruin your game or your save or your progress or anything.
No.
Okay.
It's all co-op. And
because there are co-op games where, if you leave it on public, some people could come in and just ruin everything, like Sea of Thieves. I've heard like if you leave it open,
no, it's nothing like that.
Random people, they can come in and steal your treasure and sink your ship.
The worst case scenario is someone didn't realize that they got radiated, which means that they can attack allies, and so they end up using a very strong attack on the defense target and destroy it in one shot. Okay. I've had that happen quite a few times.
It's like it took out the target, but then took out your teammate as well.
Well, it took out the person. Well, no, you're defending something, and if that dies, it ends the mission.
Okay, gotcha. So they were trying to defend it, but because of their radiation, they damaged what you're supposed to be protecting.
That's pretty much what happens. That's the status effect whenever you get radiated, is that you can hit your allies and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And because of the way the game's balanced, it is not balanced around our armor values. With our armor values and how much damage we put out is not balanced around each other. It's
towards the enemies in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our armor is balanced based on the enemies damage, and our damage output is based on is balanced around the enemy's armor. So you can kind of see what happens whenever you decide your millions of damage goes against your couple of thousand.
That makes
Although
sense.
shield gate does help the first shot, but usually with the first shot you don't realize what happened until the second shot because of the way everything works in the game.
Okay. All right. Anything else on Warframe?
Nope, I think I'm gonna cut back a little bit on this because I've pretty much got every weapon from the new update. I'm just slowly working on upgrading the weapons because the way the Nemesis weapons work is that for the Liches and Sisters, you get to choose what you pretty much whenever you create them, they let you know which weapon they have, and if you want to get that weapon, you then kill the enemy that spawns the system, and then the whole point of the system is that there is an element and a percentage of that element that gets added onto the weapon, and the maximum number is 60%. So I'm slowly trying to get all of my Nemesis weapons up to full 60%.
Okay.
And also give them the element I want on those weapons.
Okay.
There's also some cosmetics hidden behind all of the Nemesis systems, but I'm just slowly working on getting those also while I'm doing it.
So you won't have as much Warframe time this month as last month then.
Yeah, because I'm gonna slow down a little bit because I mean I can keep on because of the way the boy bands work. They don't give you the weapon directly. They give you a currency that you can then spend in a store, and that store
Oh, you mentioned that earlier.
and the store actually and it rotates every 4 days.
Okay.
And you can only pick up one of each weapon per rotation. So there's a limit to what you can get or how much you can get in one rotation. But you eventually want to try and get as many as you can because you want to try and upgrade all of them to 60%.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, then I will go on my last one.
Oh, one last thing about that 60% that percentage is it always takes the higher value and then adds more onto that value. So like it doesn't matter if it's the original weapon or the new weapon. It'll take the higher value.
Oh, okay.
And try to add more to that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you're always making progress.
Gotcha. So it's not adding to the lower one when you already have one that's higher.
Yeah. So it's not like you'll have a chance where you could actually lower it. You'll always be able to upgrade, but sometimes it'll just be slower depending on your luck.
Gotcha.
On what the percentage is. Because if you keep on getting 25%, 25%, 25%, you're only going to be doing that small increment over each time. But if you get like a 55%, that's like an almost instantaneous 60%.
Yeah, almost there right off the bat.
Well, it's because it would already upgrade from the 55%, even if you already had one. And the reason why you would always want to use the old one is because you've already put the materials into it to make it a fully modded weapon.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, then I will go into my last one then. And that is the sequel to, I think I talked about it last month, because I have been making my way through the Dishonored games because, like I said, I'm trying to recover my completion percentage, and these all have a decent number of achievements. I've had them forever. I bought the original one on 360 probably like 10 years ago and didn't actually even play it for the first time until I started my dive in 2019. So I finished not 100%, like I said I'm pretty sure it was last month's episode of Achievement Chasers of Dishonored 1. But as I kind of mentioned earlier, I've got a Garbovian completion where I've got 69 out of the 80 achievements. So there's only 11 left. And most of those are for that one DLC that has nothing to do with the story. It's just like a trials mode. There's only like 2 or 3 achievements I have left for the that are actually story related in one of the DLCs. But I went on to Dishonored 2, and I do now have the 100% completion in Dishonored 2. Fortunately, there was no DLC or anything, so Oh, that's the wrong one. I wanted to pull up Dishonored 2. Oh, it's too far down my list. Let me go pull it up here. Did I? No. Dishonored 2. There we go. So I got the final achievement, getting 100% on March 31st. So right at the end of the month, finished up getting all the achievements. And the achievement set was very similar to the base game of Dishonored 1, where you have, because there's basically the two ways to play through the game is low chaos and high chaos. And there's an achievement for both. So you have to do at least 2 playthroughs to get all the achievements. There's also, just like the first game, there's an achievement for beating the game without killing anybody. There's an achievement for beating the game without ever being detected. So just like the first game, that took a while because you got to be super sneaky. And anytime someone notices you, you got to reload your last save point. Fortunately, because I played Dishonored 1 on 360 and it's not backwards compatible, so I had to play it on my actual 360. There is a Xbox One version, which I may end up playing at some point. I haven't decided yet or not. But Dishonored 2 is an Xbox One only. It wasn't on 360. So fortunately, it looked a lot better. It ran a lot faster and smoother and higher frame rate. And I don't know if, because there's the Dishonored Definitive Edition is the Xbox One version of the first game. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know if they added this in. I assume they did. But at least in Dishonored 2, they added the ability to quick save and quick load. So saving and loading is a lot faster. Plus, you're on more powerful hardware. So that type of stuff, because you're having to save and load a lot when you're doing your no killing and no being detected playthrough. So just that alone helped cut down the time on the game, because on 360, every time I had to do that, that was like, pausing, going and finding my save, and then loading took probably at least 30 seconds, if not more.
Is that on me or is that just Neo? Okay.
All right. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Yeah. It popped up right as you said that. Popped up, said, oops, reconnecting. I don't know what happened. So, but yeah, just being able to quick save and quick load and have more powerful hardware took a lot of the time down on, the not actually playing the game aspect. Although the funny thing is, I don't know why, but True Achievements didn't track my time at all. So even though I have 100% of the achievements and it probably took me about 60 hours, it says I've only played it for 27 minutes. But anyway, so I had to play through it twice. The second play, so on both Dishonored 1 and 2, I played through the low chaos first. And there's no reason to not also go for the no being detected and no killing, because you're doing low chaos anyways. When you kill people, that counts for high chaos. The other thing is, just like Dishonored 1, there's also an achievement for beating the game without acquiring any of the special abilities like teleport and the ability to see through walls and stuff. So just like Dishonored 1, I decided to do the low chaos as my first playthrough, and I played through without killing anyone and without being detected. And then I did my second playthrough on high chaos and not using any powers. But that's the biggest problem with both Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2 is the achievements take a lot of the fun out of the game, because the mainly is the one for beating it without using any powers, because the big difference between Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2 is on Dishonored 1, the game is essentially the same either way, whether you're playing low or high chaos. Although in Dishonored 2, the high chaos and low chaos doesn't really make that much of a difference on the game. What is different is that in Dishonored 2, at the very beginning of the game, you get to pick between who you want to play as, whether you want to play as Corvo, who you play as in Dishonored 1, or whether you play as Emily, who is your daughter. So you can pick, and each one of them have a different set of powers. So what I did is I played through my first playthrough low chaos as Corvo, and I used powers. Then my second playthrough, I did high chaos with Emily, but I did it with no power, so I never got to use any of her powers. But it was more fun playing through the second time. The amount of time it took to play through the second time on high chaos, I didn't have to worry about being detected, and I can kill people. So just like in Dishonored 1, the high chaos playthrough took a fraction of the time of the low chaos playthrough. But just playing through the game in low chaos and not being detected, not killing anyone, and then playing it again through high chaos and using no powers will get you a good chunk of the achievements. Most of the other ones, there's a couple achievements here and there for doing certain things in certain levels. So as long as you're paying attention to like what those achievements are, you're probably not going to miss them. But I think after I beat my high chaos playthrough, I think I had like 2 or 3 more achievements. One of them I had just been putting off and is super easy. There's an achievement for, and it was the very last achievement I got in the game, is for killing 6 enemies in 1.5 seconds. It sounds like it's really difficult, but all you got to do is just like when you're playing on your low chaos, when you don't kill anyone, you can still, instead of killing them, what you do is you could just avoid them if you wanted to, but it's much easier typically to knock them out non-lethally so that you don't have to worry about them wandering around. So you can either like choke them out so that they go unconscious, or you can hit them like with a sleep dart. So you can still knock them out just without killing them, stabbing them or whatever with your sword. So in order to get that achievement, all you got to do is knock out 6 people, put them in put those unconscious bodies in a pile and throw a grenade in, and you'll kill them all at once and get that achievement. So that was actually the last achievement I got. So super easy. It's just one that I was putting off. But the other one, and is the highest ratio achievement in the game, is one of the abilities is called possession, and you can possess, typically it's creatures, but there is an upgrade to it that allows you to possess people. But this achievement didn't need that. So, and it lasts for as long as your mana lasts. And there's also an upgrade that allows, and you basically need this upgrade in order to get this achievement, where when you're possessing something, your mana goes down slower. So you basically need that in order to do this achievement. Because what this achievement is for possessing 5 different things, which is actually a human. But like the upgrade I mentioned about possessing a human, you don't need an upgrade to possess a human, but if you want to be able to possess them and take control of their body rather than just see through their eyes, there's an upgrade for that, but you don't actually need that for this achievement. So, and you can actually knock someone out and still possess their body while they're unconscious. You just can't move around or anything. But you have to. One of the upgrades for this possession is also to jump between different things you can possess. So you have to possess a human, a dog, a rat, a fish, and a blood fly, all within the span of one use of the ability. So that's actually the highest ratio achievement in the game, with a 5.3. And that was my second to last achievement. And Corvo doesn't have that ability, only Emily does. And I was playing through as Emily on high chaos, but without any power. So I didn't have any power. So I had to do a partial third playthrough. And the number 1 achievement guide for that achievement says to do it on mission 5. So I would have had to play through, because there's only like 9 missions in the game, but they're relatively long. So that's basically halfway through the game. Fortunately, I found another solution that says that you can do it on essentially level 2. So I actually got it on level 2, so I didn't have to play through much of the game in order to get those last couple of achievements. But I kind of wish it did take longer, but I'll get to that in just a moment. But all those creatures do exist on level 2. You just got to kind of set it up so that they're all in a close area all at the same time. It took me like 2 or 3 tries, but then I finally got I got the achievement with it. I had to I quick saved. I tried it. That didn't work. I made a couple of adjustments, reloaded my save, made a couple adjustments, tried again, and it took like 3 or 4 tries. So actually wasn't difficult. So it was like the 3rd or 4th achievement guide down that said, actually, you can do this on level 2. So thank you for that. And then one of the other achievements was for another ability that only Emily has. So I couldn't do that on my high chaos playthrough. But then my others, so once I beat the game on high chaos, I only had 3 achievements left. And the other one is for Domino, which you can link multiple people together. And then if you kill one person, all the people that are linked also die. Or alternatively, if you're doing non-lethal, you can link up to, I think initially you can only link 2 people, but you can upgrade Domino to up to 4 people. So you can link 4 people, and you can knock one out with a sleep dart or choke them out. And then the other 3 people that are linked will also go unconscious at the same time, which would have been a really handy ability to have on my low chaos playthrough. But I kind of wish my partial third playthrough would have lasted longer, because that's when I was having the most fun with the game, because I didn't have to worry about not killing anyone. I didn't have to worry about not getting detected. And the awesome thing about this that I didn't know until 2 weeks ago tonight, I had an open mic and I had Nightmare on, and he's a big fan of Dishonored. So we talked a lot about Dishonored on that stream. I didn't even know about it until he told me about this. When you do New Game Plus, you still pick whether you want to play as Corvo or as Emily. But the thing is, you have access to all of both of their powers. So you can mix and match all, Corvo's and Emily's powers. And you can keep New Game Plusing. And if you wanted to, you could basically max out all the skills. It's probably going to take you like 4 or 5 playthroughs to acquire enough materials to upgrade every skill. But if you wanted to, you could. And the other thing is that when I started out that third playthrough, I wasn't starting from scratch. All of the progress I had made on my previous 2 playthroughs had imported into it. So I had a ton of material to start putting into the different upgrades. So I didn't have to start from scratch. So I was able to mix and match. And that was, even though I only played basically the first 2 levels, that was the most fun I had playing the game over the course of probably about 60 hours. I would love to play through it in its entirety on New Game Plus, so I have access to all their powers. But maybe I will after my dive, because that's my focus right now, is getting my achievements taken care of. So that's the worst part about these games, is the achievements ruin a lot of the fun, especially with Dishonored 2. Being able to have access to all of both of their powers is awesome. But as for the game itself, if anyone doesn't know, it's a first-person stealth game, and you have cool powers that allow you to like teleport and possess people. You got cool gadgets, like you got some guns, you got different types of bullets, you got different types of darts, sleep darts, fire darts, electric darts. You got mines, you got grenades. So it's a really cool. You got a lot of options. It's kind of like Splinter Cell or Hitman, and you have a lot of different routes you can take to complete your objective.
I mean, that's part of the reason why I haven't really played Dishonored, just because I know those achievements exist, and my favorite stealth missions are optional.
Yeah. So we went into depth about this because I had already played a good chunk of the game when I had Nightmare on for open mic a couple weeks ago. But Dishonored 2 has some really cool missions that like you haven't really seen anywhere else. One of the ones that we talked about on open mic is, I think it was mission 4. Oh, that was the other thing, is that some of these missions, they're like 2 back-to-back missions, and they were actually, well, it's one mission, but it's split into 2 levels. And there's a couple levels that were really long. They should have, and very easily could have, split into 2 missions. Like this Clockwork Mansion I'm about to mention. It took, the timer when I beat the level was 4.5 hours. That does not include all the times that I reloaded my save and lost however many minutes I played, but then had to reload my save because I got detected or something. So in all reality, I probably spent somewhere between 6 and 8 hours on this one level. The levels, especially when you're doing it without being detected, are really freaking long. You got to take your time, be really sneaky. But one of the previous levels was one long mission, but they split it up into 2 separate missions. They should have done the same thing with this Clockwork Mansion mission, but it's just one really long mission. So even though there's only like 9 missions in the game, when you're being super stealthy, it takes a long time. But anyways, the Clockwork Mansion level was really cool because the guy that's your target in that mission, his name is Jindosh, and he's like this crazy smart inventor guy. And his mansion, called the Clockwork Mansion, is basically like a modular house where there's all these different segments and there's all these different levels around. Every time you pull a lever, like the walls move, certain parts of the room will move over here, and another part of the room will come up out of the floor or out of the ceiling. And so every time you pull one of these levers, you have no idea what's going to happen. Things rotate, and you could be in the same room you were in, but now the room is completely different than what you were in before, because the way that the floor opens up and part of the floor goes down and then it closes and then walls come out. It's a really cool level. So that was a really cool level. And then there was another mission. It was also in a mansion. I forget what the level was, the area was called, but and there was downsides and upsides to this level. This next level I'm going to talk about. I think it was level 7, because on this level, even if you have powers, you can't use them for some reason. But in order to kind of make up for that, so you come into this mansion in the present. Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about Warframe and the Void, and there's a guy inside of it who's really a really bad guy. That sounds very much like Dishonored, because there's also the Void, and there's this guy who lives in it who's called the Outsider, and he's basically lives outside of space and time, and he interacts with the physical world, and he'll give every few people in a generation, he likes them, and he'll give them his mark, and those few people have the ability to use these powers that are in Dishonored. So that's why only a couple people can do this. And he's this really shady guy that he does this to just kind of as almost like as amusement, gives the powers to people to see what they'll do, as kind of like, he exists outside of time and space to watch and see what they're going to do. So it kind of reminded me of the Outsider in Dishonored. But this one mission, even if you are playing your powers playthrough, you can't use them. But he gives you this device, and it allows you to see everything. So you can flip it open, and it has like a little screen on it. And when you're looking at that, you see that exact same place that you're standing, but you see it on this night that was 3 years in the past. So you're holding this device, and you're seeing everything in the present, but you can look at this device, and you can see everything in the past. And if you hit the left trigger, you teleport to where you switch, where now you're in the past. And then when you're looking at your little device, you're looking at that same spot, but in the present that you just left. So
How did they do that before SSDs?
Yeah.
making a joke about Rift Apart.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank.
It's a very similar thing to Ratchet and Clank, or the Medium, where they have to render two worlds at the same time. So it's basically like that, and you can switch back and forth between them at will. It was a really cool concept, because not only are you're basically going through this mansion, both in the present, which is all broken down, and weeds are overgrown, and it's just it's been infested by blood flies, which are the main like creature enemy, which they're like giant evil mosquitoes, and they can kill you if you're not careful, and they have nests and stuff. And
I wonder if they got that idea from the Halo CE remaster. Because when you could just press a button and it changes the graphics settings.
The graphics. Kind of.
I could see someone actually thinking of that and like, what if there's a gameplay mechanic around that?
What if we built that into the game? That very well could be possible. But yeah, the blood flies, if they kill someone, they'll lay their eggs in them, and then they use the body to gestate their eggs to hatch more blood flies. So they're really nasty creatures. But yeah, so there's blood flies everywhere. Everything's broken down. But in the past, everything is nice and pristine. But then there's your target of this mission is his name is Aramis Stilton, and you can either kill him. I don't recommend that though. But if you kill him, the present that is the same. But if you spare him by knocking him out unconscious, that changes the present. So now, because you basically had the broken down present version of the mansion, and then you have the version of the mansion in the past, which is all pristine and very nice. But if you knock him out, then the mansion that was the present and everything was broken down doesn't happen. And so now the present, instead of being all broken down, is also nice and pristine. So there's basically 3 versions of this mansion in this one level. And it was really trippy trying to remember, wait, after I knocked him out, is this the present or is this the past? I can't even tell anymore. And things are different in the mansion, because if you knock him out, there's this one part of the mansion that wasn't built yet. And if you knock him out, that gets built out when you come back to the present. But if you kill him, that doesn't happen. So it was this really cool concept, and having basically like 3 versions of this level in the same place, you can kind of switch back and forth between them at will, was a really cool concept and a really cool level. So, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I liked it better than Dishonored 1. Because I was talking to Nightmare, and he said that most people like Dishonored 1 better. And I was like, I like Dishonored 2 better. And I definitely would have liked it, either one of them. I like them both, but they both would have been better without the no being detected and no powers achievements, because that really takes away from a lot of the fun. So, But yeah, I beat it, got 100% of the achievements, and I've now immediately moved on to the third game, which is called Death of the Outsider, which your whole goal in this one, because you're not playing as Corvo anymore, you're actually playing as a set. Oh, that's another thing. In Dishonored 1, there's a couple characters that get introduced. Well, there's a character that gets introduced at the very beginning of the game. He's the assassin that kills the Empress. His name is Dowd. In the first story DLC of Dishonored, which I talked about, you actually play as Dowd, not as Corvo anymore. And the first DLC takes place during the story of Dishonored 1. You're just playing as a different character. The second story DLC, you're still playing as Dowd, and it's also still taking place during the course of Dishonored 1. But there's a couple characters that get introduced in the DLC that if you didn't play the DLC, you would have no idea what's going on in Dishonored 2, because these characters play a pivotal role in Dishonored 2. And they were only in the DLC. So if you do play Dishonored, absolutely, I say it is absolutely required that you do play the 2 story DLCs for Dishonored 1 before going into Dishonored 2. And that is the main antagonist of Dishonored 2 is one of the characters that get introduced in the DLC of Dishonored 1, as well as one of your friends in Dishonored 2. Her name is Megan Foster. And
I heard Megan F, and I was thinking Megan Fox.
Megan Fox, no. Megan Foster, who is actually voiced by Rosario Dawson. I didn't know this until I was on stream with Nightmare a few weeks ago. The voice cast for Dishonored 1, there's a lot of big name people who voiced in that game. As is Dishonored 2. A lot of big name people. I was looking through the IMDb, and I was shocked at how many big name actors that everybody knows were voices in the game. But anyways, Megan Foster also gets introduced in the Dishonored DLC, and she plays a major role in Dishonored 2. And because in Dishonored 1, the DLC, she's a very she's a very able-bodied person, but when you first meet her at the very end of the first level in Dishonored 2, she's missing an eye and missing her arm. So it's like, what the heck happened in between Dishonored 1 and 2? Because there's like a 15-year gap between Dishonored 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's because I knew that I suspected she was also the main character you play as in the third game called Death of the Outsider, which is what I'm playing right now. And I was right, because she's a black character, and which is and there's a black woman who's on the cover of Dishonored 2 or Dishonored Death of the Outsider, and I was like, I bet you that's probably Megan Foster's character. And come to find out, I was right. So I figured that Death of the Outsider actually took place between Dishonored 1 and 2 and fills in the gap on how she lost her eye and how she lost her arm. But no, Death of the Outsider takes place pretty close after the end of Dishonored 2, because she parts ways with the main character, whichever you decide to play Dishonored 2 as, either Corvo or Emily. She's the ship captain that takes you around.
So why didn't they call it Dishonored 3?
It's much shorter, and it's the gameplay is essentially the same, but fortunately the achievements are much more lenient. It's a lot shorter, so and it says it's like a 15 to 20 hour completion. So it's more of like, I think what it was is it was originally going to be a DLC for Dishonored 2, and they just decided to spin it off as its own game. So that's why they didn't make it Dishonored 3. They call it Death of the Outsider. It's because it wasn't long enough to be a full game. That's my guess. I don't know why, but that's just what I would assume. But anyways, Dishonored Death of the Outsider takes place pretty much right after the end of Dishonored 2. She parts ways with either Emily or Corvo, whoever you decide to play as in Dishonored 2, and she goes off on her own mission. But through the course of that mission I was just telling you about in Dishonored 2, where there's the 2 timelines, depending on because when you go on that mission, as expected, she's missing her arm and her eye. When you knock out that guy rather than kill him, and then you beat the mission, you come back to the ship, and she has her eye and she has her arm, and it's never addressed. And it's because the changes you made in the past affected the present, and because you knocked him out and prevented whatever happened to this guy from going crazy, she didn't ever lose her arm and didn't lose her eye. So I thought Death of the Outsider game took place between the 2 games and explained how that happened. But no, this one actually takes place after, and she loses her arm and her eye again, like pretty early in the game, because the Outsider, the guy I just told you about, he takes it away from her because she originally lost her eye and her arm And the only reason why she got it back is because of the changes that Corvo made on that mission when the outsider gave him the ability to change the past. So she has, even though after you change the past, obviously she never lost her arm and her eye, but she has like dreams and stuff of it happening, and she doesn't understand why. And in Death of the Outsider, like the end of the first level, the outsider shows up and takes her arm and her eye, and she doesn't really understand why. So I'm currently playing through Death of the Outsider. I'm about halfway through on my first playthrough. But fortunately, it does have an achievement for beating it without being detected, but it does not have an achievement for beating it without powers, and also does not have an achievement for beating it without killing anyone. So on the achievement side of things, I'm enjoying it much better. So I'm already at 17 out of... It doesn't have as many achievements either. So I'm at 17 out of 30 already. So I will definitely be able to complete this one before the end of this month for when we talk about it next month. Yeah, I will be done with the Dishonored games here soon, and then I'll be moving on to something else. I'm getting close. I am on my recovery. Like I said, when I originally started, I was at like 4,600 achievements to recover, and I'm now at 243. So I'm getting really close. So, but yeah, I'm liking the Dishonored games a lot. It's just the achievements take a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah. It always sucks.
But yeah, that about sums up everything that I played over the course of April. So, anything like I just said, I'm working on the Dishonored game, Death of the Outsider. I will absolutely be getting 100% completion. You're still working on Dynasty Warriors and Ninja Gaiden. Yep. I do have to do a second playthrough. So when I beat my first playthrough, I should have probably about like 25 out of 30 achievements. I'll have to play through it again because there is an achievement for basically beating New Game Plus. So you have to play it to get that achievement. You have to play through it a second time regardless. But fortunately, I won't have to worry about the achievement that takes the longest. Is there's an achievement for completing all the contracts in the game, and every level has like 3 or 4 contracts. We have to go do like these little side missions. So I don't have to worry about that. But I will have to worry about beating it without being detected. But if I don't have to worry about any of these side objectives, I can basically beeline it to the objective and then beeline it back. So playing through it again, even though I'll be having to play it without being detected, it should be a lot faster on the second playthrough. So I will absolutely be 100%ing this one for sure. It's just, when will I ever get back to 100%ing Dishonored 1? It'll be a while. Let's see here. What am I going to be playing after that? I don't know. Oh, the next game I'll probably be playing after I finish Dishonored is the 2016 Layers of Fear, because that one is a pretty short game. I just haven't bothered to finish it. I bought it because, I don't like scary games. It's not really that scary. It's a spooky game, but it's not even listed as a horror game. It's listed as adventure, I think. Yeah, it's listed as an adventure game, and it was on, like, without knowing anything about it, it was like, I bought it way back, and it was on sale for a couple dollars. It was listed as adventure, and it's like an 8 to 10 hour completion. I was like, sure, I'll buy it for a couple of dollars. And then it wasn't until after I played it, I realized it's like a spooky game, but I was like, it's not really that scary. Just like when I first played, the only Resident Evil I ever played was Resident Evil 4, and it's not really scary at all. It's kind of like that, where
it's more creepy than scary.
It's more creepy. It's not really scary at all. So I've got 11 out of the 27, but it's a pretty short completion. So that'll probably be the next thing I complete after Dishonored. Or the other thing might be Child of Light, which is actually a Ubisoft turn-based RPG, but it's also relatively short as well. So those are kind of the next things that are up on the agenda, as well as what I'll be playing on retro achievements, because I'll be done with Bionic Commando pretty soon, and then I'll be moving on to another retro achievement. I'll probably be finishing up Donkey Kong Country, because I haven't even played it since February. I haven't touched it, and
how dare you?
It's been sitting on my back.
Finish my list.
Yeah, it's been sitting there with only like 30 or 40% completion for like a month and a half now, and I haven't even touched it. Let's see here. I am at 40%, exactly, 29 out of 70. And my last achievement was February 21st. So that'll be another thing I get back to. While we're talking about retro achievements, one thing that I did talk about this on one of my streams earlier this week is my iPad has been great for playing retro achievement stuff on the go, but I've always wanted, like, and I think I talked to you about this. I was like, I'd love to have a handheld device that I use my retro achievement console essentially. So I've been wanting to do that on my Switch forever, but you have told me, and I've looked it up, that Nintendo can, and well within the rights, ban you for it because of software modding their
Yep.
hardware. You can get a hardware ban. So like, I was like, I'm not going to do that. Maybe once I get a Super Switch, maybe I'll do that to my Switch. But I just stumbled across it on.
I like how you usually call it the Switch 2.
Yeah. Sometimes I slip and I do call it Switch 2, but every time I'm still going to call it Super Switch because it's a way better name than Switch 2. But I that was under the impression that I was going to get a Super Switch on launch. I'm probably not going to do that, especially after the price announcement this week. I will get one eventually, but I don't know when, especially because the main reason I want to get it is for Metroid Prime 4. But if it's going to be playable on my Switch 1, then I'll be okay with that. So it'll probably be a while till I get the next Switch. So I was like, I didn't know that until literally like yesterday, because that's when the announcement was. But a couple weeks ago, I stumbled across it was literally like an ad on my Twitter feed. And I'm like, this looks awesome. So I looked into it. And I did tell you about this part, is I found a handheld. It looks just like a DS.
Yeah.
Except there's no screen here. And there is a screen up here, but it takes up the entire space. It's not like in the middle here. It takes up the entire part here. And it's a really high quality screen. And it's got, your D-pad and your buttons. And it's also got dual joysticks on it. And it's got a couple, got triggers and shoulder buttons. And it just runs on Android. And I was like, wait, I think that's when I found out that RetroArch is on iOS, when I was researching this device, because it didn't say anything on the listing about, because a lot of the times
I think I remember getting RetroArch working on on my hacked Vita, and I was able to get retro achievements through that.
You did tell me about that, and I have looked into that, but I was like, I don't know. But
yeah, the biggest problem with the Vita is the memory sticks.
How, in what regard?
They're proprietary to only the Vita.
Oh, are they?
That was part of the reason why it failed.
I did not know it was proprietary.
And that's the reason why those memory sticks were so expensive.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So I'm glad I didn't go that route. But I've wanted something handheld.
If you were into trophies, it was another way to get trophies too. So
that's true. Which I'm not, because I don't even. Well, I do have a PlayStation account, but only because. Well, actually, the reason why I made my PlayStation account is because there was sometimes where PlayStation gave out free games, and you didn't even have to be a PlayStation like network subscriber. It was just a free to anyone who had a PlayStation account. So because I was planning on getting a PlayStation for some of these PlayStation exclusives, so I was like, heck, I'll create my PlayStation account, acquire that a few games. So I do have a PlayStation account with a few games, even though I don't have a PlayStation to play them on. But all those games have since come to Steam or will be coming to Steam, so I don't really need it. So I'm not really interested in it. But I've always wanted something handheld that I could take on the go, fit in my pocket, and play retro work on retro achievements. So I saw this, and a lot of the times, like our analog pocket, looks like a Game Boy.
The biggest problem with that device that you sent me is can it connect to the internet? How does it connect to the internet whenever you're like not in Wi-Fi range?
If I play a game offline and then I connect to the internet, do all those achievements pop?
I think they should, but it's still wonky. You have to keep the emulator up while you haven't been online.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I will definitely test it. But yeah, it's got Wi-Fi, so whenever I'm home or within Wi-Fi range, I can play it and just unlock retro achievements whenever. When I'm on the road or whatever, I'll just tether it to my phone, so it'll be connected to the internet.
Gotcha.
When I unlock achievements, it'll still pop, so I don't have to worry about it. But I will test it to see how that works. But anyways, like a lot of the times, these type of devices, like the popular one is the Analog Pocket, it looks just like a Game Boy, has a proprietary operating system built in. So when I came across this device, it didn't say anything about it, so I had to do some digging, and I found out it just runs on Android. So I was like, I wonder if RetroArch runs on Android. So I went to RetroArch's website, and it said it does have an Android app. So I don't have an Android device.
So they have an Xbox One app and version of the RetroArch, and you would think that they wouldn't have an Android version.
I assumed that they probably did. I just didn't know. So I went and looked and verified. Oh yes, it does have an Android version. So, but
I have played retro. I have done a RetroArch with retro achievements on my Xbox One,
Yes,
And
I've considered doing that, but
I did do Spyro Year of the Dragon that way, which was actually the second time I played it on my Xbox
nice.
because I played on in Reignited Trilogy.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's the only Spyro I've ever played was the Reignited trilogy. But yeah, so I don't have any Android devices. So what I did is I downloaded. Oh yeah, so this device called the Retroid Pocket 6, I think. Um, but it said it runs on Android 13. So I went to BlueStacks because I know that's an Android emulator.
Retroid Pocket Flip 2 handheld.
Yes, Retroid Pocket Flip, because I wanted something that flips and could fit in my pocket. And so it runs on Android 13. So I went to BlueStacks and I downloaded the Android 13 version of BlueStacks. Once I got it installed on my PC here, I installed the Android version of the RetroArch app. I got a couple of ROMs on. I didn't actually play it, but I loaded it up and I refreshed my retro achievement page, and it said I had played the game, so it was working. So I was like, all right, that's good enough for me. So it's got a flip screen. It looks just like a DS, except there's no screen in the middle, but the screen up here takes up the full space. It's a high quality screen. It's got dual joysticks, which is going to be really nice. So I'm looking forward to that. It ships sometime in April, so I'm really looking forward to getting that so I can play RetroArch, retro achievements on the go. And I just need to keep it connected to the internet, tethering it to my phone when I'm not at home. Otherwise, it'll just be connected to Wi-Fi, and I can just play it whenever and get retro achievements. And it can play anything that can play on RetroArch. So I'm super excited about that. And in the meantime, basically my mobile RetroArch is my iPad in the meantime. But yeah, I can't wait for that.
My mobile RetroArch is literally my laptop.
Yeah, I want something that's a little more easier to do, but this works in the meantime, and I can pair my controller to it. That way, I don't even have to worry about pairing a controller. I just flip it open, and I'm ready to go.
Hey, I found out my laptop, even though I bought it for cheap just to browse the internet, I found out it could play PS2 emulators. So
nice.
I bought it the cheapest laptop I could find, and somehow it still runs the PS2 emulator. So as long as it's hooked up to a power outlet.
Oh, it can't run on battery for very long.
Well, it also lowers the frame rate because it lowers the overclocking.
Okay. Gotcha. So, yeah, I cannot wait for that to have something to play retro achievements on the go. Oh, and since it's running on Android, I'm assuming I'll be able to put the Xbox app on it, and I can do cloud streaming of Xbox games on it as well.
Should be able to.
So I'll be able to do both on one device. So I cannot freaking wait for that thing.
Since I think Apple keeps telling them no.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Oh, well, I mean, I've done it on my iPad. You can do it. It's just there's no definitive app. What you have to do is you have to go to a website and then save the website as an app icon on your screen. So you don't actually download anything from the App Store because, yeah, Apple's being a dick about it. But Microsoft's able to work around it by doing it through the browser, and you just have to add it as an icon on your desktop. And it looks just like an app. If you didn't know, you would have no idea it's actually not an app. You would think it's an app, but it's actually just the website running in a version that's made to look like an app. You wouldn't have any idea. It actually works pretty good. I've used it a couple times just to test it out on some things, and it's pretty smooth. So, but yeah, I think that will be it for tonight. Wow. I figured that we usually figure this. It's like, oh, this one will be a shorter one since we don't have as much. I mean, I had a ton of stuff to talk about.
I didn't have much to talk about.
I figured it would be a little bit shorter since you didn't have as much to talk about because I had so much to talk about. It countered out, and we still ended up going almost 3.5 hours. So, but with that, we'll call it there for tonight's Achievement Chasers. I'll have to download this and then upload it to YouTube because freaking Restream is retarded and decided not to go live on YouTube. But I'll upload this after the fact. But yeah. Rocker Dude and Paul, thanks for coming and hanging out with us as we talk achievements. Next thing on my agenda is I will be back on Monday for some more Metroidvania Monday as I continue my playthrough of Metroid Dread. Next Tuesday is the next episode of Top 5, and it might just be Jason and I because no one else has said they want to join us, but we're going to be ranking our top 5 favorite April Fool's video game pranks. And then I'll be doing the second half of my roulette stream that I started, that I did 2 weeks ago. I was trying to get through all my spins, and I ended up only getting through like half of them. So I'm going to be doing that on Wednesday afternoon again. And then I'll be doing, the plan is to do some Ninja Gaiden again that night. And then I'll be doing an open mic with Snapple Rai next Thursday night. And then the next week, I'll be in Vegas. So,
So wait, is the Vegas week the week of the 17th?
Yeah, the meetup is on the 17th, but I'll be there I'm driving down on Monday, the 14th, and I'm driving back
The
on Friday, the 18th.
Melee's Discord only stream is the 17th.
Oh, I haven't joined very many of those anyways, so
But
I know
it's
you
more
like it.
it's also more, I know a lot of people in the Melees are still somewhat relevant, or still somewhat in that community. But they're more like there because of the people, not because of the streamers
Yeah.
nowadays.
Like the main thing I'm looking forward to is I'll get to meet Paul in person, I'll get to meet Snap in person, and my good buddies over at the Salty Nerd Podcast, I'll be able to meet them in person as well. I'm hoping that Alex has been a little bad on communicating back with me, but I'm hoping to be able to do an episode of Party Chat from the Salty Nerd studio that week.
Doesn't have to be Tuesday night.
Yeah, ideally Tuesday night, that's usually when it is, but if it's a different night, that's okay too. If it has to be at a different time, that's fine. But even if we have to pre-record it and release it later, I just want to do one with them in their studio. That'd be cool because I've been
because you also have to remember Tuesday night's main event.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure they'll
One of
probably
the
be
streams
hogging the studio.
I've kind of dropped. When the best thing that happens on that stream is Beardo getting roasted, it eventually gets boring.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll probably have the studio on Tuesday night, which is usually when I'm doing Party Chat. So if I have to move up the time around that, that's fine. But I've been waiting for Alex to get back to me, like, hey, will we be able to do this? And if we do, when? Because it's getting pretty close. I want to get my schedule figured out because I've been friends with the Salty Nerd Podcast for probably since like 2020 for a good few years now. So I'm pretty close. I've streamed with Alex. He's been on Party Chat. He was on the first episode of Party Chat. So I'm pretty good friends with them. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. So
good luck with that.
Yeah. So, but with that, I will call it a night. I am hungry, so I'm gonna go eat. So you have a good night. We will see you all later, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll catch you later. And as always, in the meantime, game on.